Welcome to, well, it's just a special show. I called it Doge on Doge Action, although there is a round head in here as well. And I know you're not supposed to say that, but I said, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway because freedom of speech. So, Doge on Doge Action, the cancerous culture of quotas. I am your host, Brian. I'm joined by Rags, as well as Appabend, who have been previous guests on the show. So, welcome to the show, guys. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone.
Hey.
Hi.
So, I brought on Rags and Appabend because I have an interest in pop culture stuff. I'm a big nerd. I love video games. I love film. I like comic books, stuff like that. Actually, before I even get into this, I wanted to tell you guys that do either of you guys do creative stuff yourself? Like, are you artists or anything like that?
I do a lot of video editing, if you guys wondering. I did a short film back then. It was a cringy-ass short film, but that's all I could get as far as creative things. Oh, also fan fictions.
Oh, okay.
I have a little YouTube channel that I run on the side. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you run it powered by Windows Movie Maker.
Powered by Windows Movie Maker. Because it's a thing. It is deceptively quick though. I mean, it's easy to slam Movie Maker, but it is very quick and easy.
I use Movie Maker sometimes.
Movie Maker is like the cheap whore of video editing.
I usually do a combo of Windows Movie Maker and Adobe, whatever the fuck, Premiere.
Yeah, Appabend, you're a fucking skeptic clone.
Another skeptic clone.
Yeah, look at that.
Another
skeptic
skeptic clone.
Skeptic
I
clone.
wish I could ask the artist who made my suit to change it into a suit from an anime that I love, but whatever.
You could put the helmet and everything on. I have a picture of the dog with the helmet and the tie on because it's Google Image. There's a free.
But
Google
hey,
Images.
at least you're naked every single time, Rags. So it's a lot more less oppressive that way. I am still oppressed by this suit and the restrictions that came from it.
I'm Skyclad Doge.
Well, yeah, I put Appabend in the suit because I figured we're gonna try to reach peak skepticism on today's show because that seems to be the goal that everyone wants to get to. Maximize your skeptic rationalismness.
I'm not sure about that.
You're not so sure about that?
No.
As far why not?
I'm just trying to be skeptical.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm not really sold on
I don't know
that
if it's
either.
really a good idea.
No. We'll have to think about it. How about I sit on this fence for another hour and see where I'm at later on. Probably still on the fence, though.
Maybe. I don't know.
So, I asked you guys about that because I actually started a comic myself, and I actually have a couple of other ones in the sort of pre-work stage. And I got them printed recently, and I went into a comic shop to distribute them. There's a lot of comic shops in the area here in Chicago that will do what's called consignment, and essentially they put your comic on the shelves, and they take part of whatever you make in exchange for, you using some of their space or whatever. But it's a good way to get your product off the ground and get it into people's hands. And so when I went over there, they have a section, all these comic shops, they have a section that's basically made for local, self-published, super small-time comic creators. And I brought my book in. I got it printed at a place called Kablam that does it very professionally. And
Kablam!
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's called Kablam! And they do it very, very good job. And so I had these really nice-looking books, that were fully color and everything. And I brought them in. And I got them to put them on the shelf. And I said, hey, and this is at all the stores I went to. I was like, hey, where's the section this book is going to be in? Because, as a person who worked in retail management for a long time in sales, I'm also, knowledgeable about marketing. Like when you put something on the shelf, how likely is it going to stand out against other things? Like how likely is my book going to get people's attention? And so they direct me to where it is. And I go over there to this section. It's like this tiny, shelf section that says self-published or local. And it's other people's books are on there. And I'm looking at the other books.
And just take them all.
They are the worst. No, I wouldn't use them to wipe my ass. They are the worst books. Most of them are the worst books I've ever seen.
Oh, look at you. Now you're a critic now, huh? You publish one book and now all of a sudden you're pretty high and mighty, huh? Huh? Is that how it works?
It is exactly how it
Like,
works.
well, now I'm a publisher too. Garbage. Garbage.
Well, I wanted some good stuff to be up there. I was hoping to be Intimidated. I didn't really think that this first issue was even that good because it's from a few years back, and I've improved a lot since then. But man, all of these books were like these whiny, like personal, anecdotal stories about how hard it is to be, mostly being like what it is to be a lesbian or to be a woman. And I'm not even making a joke about this. This is what most of those books
so
are.
hard being a woman.
It's so hard.
So tough.
That's the sort of thing that you see in Tumblr and fan fiction by the time amateur writers decided to write in. You know, there's a reason why people decided to start off in fanfiction.net instead of actually starting off in like freaking Comic Con and start off their books in there. Because I think, because if you just start off in there writing fan fiction, you see yourself how incredibly low quality they are. Just fan fiction tier levels of garbage that only Tumblrites can actually understand.
What it's like growing up as a gay Muslim Jew in today's society.
Yeah.
Who's also black.
Well,
A gay Muslim furry dude.
Gay Muslim furry black Jew.
There were books about
Alt-right.
Alt-right.
There were books about that were blatantly, for example, anti-right-wing or anti-Trump books. There were books about being a woman, books about sexual harassment towards women, books about depression and self, like cutting or whatever.
Well, that's why people walk into comic book stores. Like, I want to learn about somebody's issues with depression.
They really are. These were like all of them. And
it was the triumph of the human spirit.
And I couldn't believe it. I was like, does no one write about science fiction or adventure anymore? Everything is
Depression is an adventure, you shitlord.
Right. But it always has a sad ending.
It's depressing, one might even say.
That's why people prefer Tumblr and fanfiction.net. There are a lot more lemons and anal rape in there.
And you don't have to buy it off of an actual
stores.
shelf.
Yeah.
Like, sir, please, no reading about... Are you going to buy that book about depression?
So it was just, and then also, and the reason I'm pointing this out because I noticed that the comic shops, many of them have changed, or at least the newer ones seem to have a completely different approach to selling books. Not only were these self-published books, a lot of which were focused on the female experience. There was one about sirens. I remember. It was basically a little pamphlet. A lot of these were extremely bad. By the way, one other thing. Really bad art. Really lazy. No color. Just outlines. Some of them used photos like thrown in there. They were like zines. I don't know if you know what a zine is, but it's basically like a shitty pamphlet. Like the artwork in a pamphlet that you might get from a Jehovah's Witness is miles away better.
Is it like a chick tract?
It's probably a better read. Exactly. Yeah, actually the siren one... Well, yeah, the siren one that I was going to talk about is exactly like a chick tract. It's even like the same size, like one of these really tiny books.
Does Zephyr know about chick tracts?
No.
All right. Well, here in America, there was this guy. They're like these little bitty religious pamphlets, and they normally tell a story, and they have a moral in it, and the moral is convert or burn for eternity.
Yeah. They have a different term for that. Yeah. I know that sort of thing, but they have a different term for that here. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
they're just the American Christian versions of it.
Yeah, the chick tracts that we have usually end with a guy going to hell. They usually end that way. So, and I remember reading those. I remember seeing them lying around because I don't know how they circulate. They're just like you find them on the ground and shit.
Yeah, well, you buy them in like bulk and like 4 cents each, but you buy a bunch of them for your organization and you pass them out to everyone you see.
I got a couple of those in toy stores, but instead of talking Christians, they're like Muslims things. So, it's actually a lot more interesting.
What's a Muslim chick tract like? I wonder.
It's basically a fantasy battle of some sort. Like we've had. I don't think we call it a chick tract of some sort. We call it like freaking films of how like imams like fighting these demons from hell. And it's crazy, essentially.
Holy shit! These are films, or these are just comics, little pamphlet things?
No, they actually produce films and TVs, and just of how like imams are like fighting demons from hell, and evil shamans from that just says black magic, and Islam and Muslims are going to save everybody.
Oh,
That's so fucking diverse.
I think
That is diverse.
It's such
you
a
guys-
diverse comic. Oh, it sounds so great.
if you guys had like a Michael Bay level like budget, that would be pretty awesome. Actually, I would watch that.
Actually, it's close to that. It's imagine if it's a Michael Bay budget with a terrible CGI, with a CGI that makes PS1 graphics look amazing, and a choreography that surprisingly makes the raid look like how do you call it? It makes the raid look like that Neil Breen films, the films by Neil Breen.
Well,
Maxing our laptop budget.
Well, thank you for the raid, by the way.
Yes,
this is
you're
great,
welcome.
Great fucking movie. Holy shit! This it sounds like they're the bomb, but
They are literally.
all right. Well, moving on. So I noticed that these comic shops, they change, like the newer ones. They put up a lot of very overtly pro-feminist stuff. Like there's posters that'll be like, about resist, like hashtag resist, or they'll have the old, you can do it with like variants on it, the you can do it poster, Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, they had the "Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda" shirt.
Yeah. And
They
also
had Kamala Khan ripping off Donald Trump, literally.
ripping exactly. And they have posters of this stuff in the shops though. Like you can't find much that isn't trying to toe the line in some obvious way. There's even I guess they had in this one comic shop I went to, they were honoring female creators. So it was basically like Women Creator Month or something like that. And they had a section of all independent female creators. And by the way, that happened to be the section that was supposed to be the local section. So my book was put in that section because that was supposed to be the local section. So I was the only dude on the rack. And
Diversity.
just take what you want from that. But I mean, I am Puerto Rican, so I think the guy, he had a hard time refusing me. He was like, "Oh, this is cool," because I don't want to say no, otherwise I'm going to cry racism.
Oh, so I did fulfill the white guy quota after all. Excellent.
Yeah, you did. We're pretty diverse group right here, actually.
Your last thing with Jeff Holiday did, though, I mean, it's all white, and you're talking about diversity. What the hell was that?
It was all white. We messed up there.
But that was what I had noticed from these comics. And there was this other shop that was a lot older, and it was like an old school one. It's been in Chicago for many years, and it was the only place that didn't have all this shit. And it was like run by a bunch of old dudes in that were like wearing uniforms and shit, and they were totally cool. And so I was like, well, and they had the right focus. Basically, they were just trying to sell books, and they didn't care about the virtue signaling. And so their shop was actually a lot busier, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I want to get into this a little bit with this first article that I have up, which talks about diversity in comics, and it's entitled "Marvel is Wrong About Diversity Killing Its Comics." So I want to read a little bit of it, and we'll see what you guys, what your thoughts are. Okay, this is on the Nerdist, by the way. I don't know how SJWA they are, but I'm gonna assume yes. When it's time,
If you maybe you can actually send the link, to the Hangout so we can read together.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'll give it to you. I'll give you the link. All right, I put it in.
All right, got it.
Okay. When it's time to blame someone, go for anyone who isn't a straight white man. At least that's what Marvel did with its statement about how diverse characters are driving down their comic sales. According to an Entertainment Weekly report, Marvel's Vice President of Sales, David Gabriel, said, "What we heard was that people didn't want any more diversity. They didn't want female characters out there. That's what we heard, whether we believe that or not. I don't know that that's really true, but that's what we saw in sales. Based on our own research, he's right. It's definitely not true at all. But it's only gender diversity that's to blame. It's not only gender diversity that's to blame. Gabriel also points the finger at racial diversity for a real 1-2 punch. We saw the sales of any character that was diverse. What the hell? What? We saw the
Any
sales...
character that is diverse.
What does that mean? What? Like not white?
You can't have a diverse character. It has to be in relationship to other things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I know, compared to
All,
what?
all we did was made Thor a woman. All we did was make Iron Man this black teenager. I mean, nothing jarring.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just more diverse. Or diverse? I don't know.
All we did was take
Diverse.
characters that were known and loved and have been around for literally decades and just completely change them for some reason.
Yeah, why don't you love it just as much as you did before? Oh, I see. There's the one thing that changed that you don't like. And why might that be? Because you're a bigot.
Horrible
You're a
racist.
bigot.
Intolerant of diversity.
Intolerant completely. Any character that was new, our female characters, anything that was not a core Marvel character, people were turning their nose up against. That was difficult for us because we had a lot of fresh, new, exciting ideas that we were trying to get out, and nothing new really worked. All right, now wait a minute. Were they
Shit can be fresh and new too.
Yeah, were they
I thought maybe
really
I like it.
were they really fresh ideas though? When the only thing that you do is you take a character that's been around since the 1960s or even earlier, if you count Captain America, for example, and then you just say, "Hey, I'm going to make him black." Did you really come up with a new idea? Did you
Blacks
really
aren't
do
new.
that?
They've been around for a while.
And they did that for like 100 times. They did that for every single character. How is that a new idea? You basically take one character and it's like, okay, let's change him into someone else. Okay, take another character. Oh, let's change him into someone else. It's like a freaking conveyor belt in a factory that has this freaking machine that says diversity. And then one character come in, step, diversity. One character, step, diversity. One character, step, diversity. And there's like, oh, we're trying new, fresh, exciting ideas when you're basically what you did is literally factory work.
What's so strange is that it's like they don't understand that one of the reasons that now I'm not a huge comic guy, but I understand that a big reason that a lot of people can really enjoy comics is because they relate to these familiar characters that have been around for a while and have sort of these established either personalities or facets about them that they can either relate to or that they enjoy, that is humorous to them or that they can, just kind of go along with. And so when you take something like that and then all of a sudden you turn it into something else, even if it's just the appearance, if it's a huge shift, then it takes something that they've enjoyed because it was kind of standardized, because it was something that was kind of the same throughout the years that they could always go back to, like it was an anchor in a shifting universe. When you change that, people aren't going to be keen on that idea. And instead of taking maybe coming up with new ideas, taking the old characters and replacing them, maybe that isn't the best way to do it.
Well, we could even.
And they're going to change Captain America into like a outright neo-Nazi.
Well, yeah, the Red Skull thing was the one that really pissed me off the most, because it literally was portraying the bad guy. Red Skull is the bad guy, but he is the most sensible and honest-sounding person in the comic. And when people, if you took away the fact that it was Red Skull saying it, you would have never guessed. By the way, this is dialogue from the bad guy. These are the bad things to think. Even though there's nothing about the things he said in that, obviously that famous speech he gave in the comics that really a lot of normal people would consider even controversial.
Yeah, exactly. They just put his mouth saying it, and then they figured that should be enough to drive home how wrong this is. But that fucking book was cancer. Well, let me go back to this statement because I want to see. I want to put myself in the headspace of the people making this statement. So we had a lot of fresh, new, exciting ideas that we were trying to get out, and nothing new really worked. So the guys are in the boardroom, and you're trying to figure out. You have you're looking at your sales. And you're like, oh look, Marvel sales they're starting to slump a little bit. Maybe we need something to shake things up. What do you guys pitch that we do? What do you think? And
not more quality, not better stories.
No, what one guy says is, you know what? I think if we made the Hulk Korean, that would drive our sales up. And I think that is a fresh, new idea. Or somebody else says, no, I think that the Falcon, who was, Captain America's best friend for many years, who I think is a sidekick even though he isn't, should be Captain America because Captain America should be black. And I think that that is a fresh, new idea. Or Iron Man should be a little black teenager that is suddenly the smartest woman on Earth or something. And that is a fresh new idea. None of these ideas are fresh or new. Why do they think that they are? That's maybe, you know what? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's just poor choice of words. But I am of the belief that people who think like this are not creative. They don't have the ability to come up with good ideas. And what they do is just damaging. Even characters that are well written, that are minority or other gender characters, like Miles Morales. My problem with Miles Morales is he's probably a decent Spider-Man and everything, but the problem is that he's always going to be thought of as the other Spider-Man. He's not his own person, you know?
He co-opted the image of Spider-Man and what Spider-Man was.
Yeah, so even if he's really good, when somebody says, "Oh yeah, have you read the new Spider-Man? Like this new issue of Spider-Man?" You're gonna have to differentiate. You're gonna have to say,
Like,
"Oh, you mean
the
like
new Spider-Man?"
Yeah. When you say that, are you talking about Peter Parker or are you talking about Miles Morales? Oh, I mean Miles. So the problem is that he doesn't have his own. His identity is intrinsically linked to the original character's identity, and he can't become his own thing. Right?
Well, there's something that I want to talk about in that regard. We have this thing in comic called legacy characters.
This is true.
In which, yes, comics have legacy characters. In which, for a brief moment, like say, the Flash. There are 3 iterations of the Flash. 3 or 4 or more. I'm not really sure, but yeah, there's a lot. But the 3 most famous ones are, of course, Jay Garrick, the first one. The second is Barry Allen, and then Wally West, and then Bart Allen. And then when you say the Flash, you're gonna have people be confused. This is an actual comic book thing. Like, which Flash are we talking about? Are you talking about the Barry Allen, the Flash, or Wally West, the Flash? But keep in mind that all of these characters, they all have their own identities as well. Like Jay Garrick's the Flash is the classic Flash. Barry Allen is the well-known Flash. Wally West used to be Kid Flash, and then Bart Allen is Impulse. So all of these characters, they have their original names. They used to be someone else before they actually take the mantle of the Flash. Nightwing, for example, he has been Batman. Dick Grayson, he has been Batman, and but before he was in fact, Robin has lots of multiple identities. Dick Grayson is now Nightwing. Jason Todd is now Red Hood. Tim Drake is now Red Robin, and then Damian Wayne, he's still Robin. I don't know what he's going to turn him into. But the point is, we have legacy characters. So if Spider-Man wants to do this same thing of having legacy characters, of having, we have the Peter Parker Spider-Man and the Miles Morales Spider-Man, we're not exactly sure of how they try to implement both at the same time. Because most of these legacy characters, they try to implement both. So one, when Batman exists, Dick Grayson also exists. So what did I just gotta shoehorn in, just replace Peter Parker entirely with Miles Morales? And if so, how would they replace it? How does that make sense to the story? You can't just slap in Miles Morales in, the way they did that Ironheart girl, and all of these the characters in Marvel, I think you can see them as legacy characters of some sort, but the only problem is they're doing it to every character. Yeah. They're doing it to every single character. Okay, that character should be a legacy character. While DC doesn't do this. DC doesn't do this as often as it was Marvel, just for the sake of diversity. When DC does it, they do it progressively. Okay, one character decide to have the story, and then one story of this character ends, then the story of the next character, legacy character, begins. But Marvel decided, I don't know what happens to Marvel, but they just decided to have this character, Spider-Man, for example, then replace Spider-Man with another Spider-Man, then just shortly after replace Thor with another Thor, then shortly after replace this character and this, and they just do this so frequently, it's to the point where everybody's been saying that Marvel is blatantly pushing propaganda. It's blatantly pushing diversity to our throat.
Well, you can look at some of the stuff that I've seen in comics, and because I don't really read comics, but I do go and I do look. I see the articles on the panels and the things that are said on them, and here's the thing: you don't have to be a comics guy to look at some of the things that they push here and see that it is obvious propaganda pushing. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that are said in these comics that I've seen in Alphabet's videos, that I've seen in articles, they are so strange. They are so out in left field that you think that someone has taken the image and edited it to make it look bad. And you read this is you look at these and you say, is this real? Is this fake? Is this a joke? And no, it's not. It is real. This is actually what's in the comic.
Yep.
I mean, you can go to Google and just put in Marvel SJW, for instance, and then go to images, and you'll see all the crazy images and pages. You see Justin Trudeau, and you'll see Wonder Woman, this chick with Wonder Woman talking about mansplaining. You see all this garbage crap, and you can just scroll through, and you can see all this stuff. And you don't have to know anything about comics.
Firestar blows up at Iceman at one point about him assuming the gender of some alien baby they found.
Yeah, that's the third. That's the fourth image that loads.
Oh,
up.
and by the way, the one thing that you guys need to know is that apparently, I think I've said this in a couple of videos. The writers are literally endorsing fan fiction. You literally have Kamala Khan saying, "I have a fan fiction like that," without irony, without any sorts of self-awareness of how terrible fan fictions are, and they were like, "Oh, I read it. It was really good." And I was sitting there.
That's the Unstoppable Wasp or whatever. That was from the It's so bad, so cringy. Jesus Christ! It's
like
so,
you're really.
Oh man, go ahead.
Yeah, like you're literally endorsing fan fiction. As someone who writes fan fiction, if your professional made comic decided, yes, fan fictions, they're like the best thing ever. Like, you have zero idea what fan fictions are, and if that's what you say, then I'm assuming that your work itself is fan fiction quality, and it is fan fiction quality. They literally say, "What the hell is Harry Potter?" Don't you know that Harry Potter is like the most popular freaking fandom that has the biggest fan fiction ever? And you're like, "What's a Harry Potter?" Are you fucking kidding me? Like, the consistency even is
yeah,
cringe.
right. I hear that. Well,
does he get hair in his pots?
I could go on this article, but I want to make this one thing clear. When the Nerdist responds to this, and they kind of go on for a bit, but they try to start off with the argument that Marvel is wrong about diversity killing its comics, and their reasoning for it is to say comics have always been diverse, so that can't be the problem. Well, there is an important distinction to make here. It's true that comics in general have always been diverse, especially Marvel. They were probably one of the first ones to jump on board, but DC is good about it too. Characters like the Black Panther and Cyborg and Wonder Woman and the characters like the Wasp, who actually led the Avengers for a while, Storm, who led the X-Men for a while, etc. The X-Men in general represent a lot of diversity, but it was never
politicized.
It was never politicized. It was never pushed for those reasons. Whenever they talked about, when you write comics and you want to explore some moral quandary, which a lot of times comics do on some level, there are two ways to do it. One is you do it in such a way that you try to invite as many people as possible to get involved and think about the things that are being discussed. And these could be large existential human questions, like, whether or not machines have souls, or whether or not, what the limit of human potential is, like, just whatever. Prejudice in, like, the broadest terms. And you can use any number of methods to do it. You can go with the obvious if you wanted. Like, say you want to talk about prejudice, you could just talk about racism against a black guy because he's black and he's dealing with the KKK or whatever. Or you could do it in a more clever way, which often gets more people interested, not just because it's really cleverly done, but because it gets people thinking about it. So, for example, you might do something about, I don't know, like aliens that are misunderstood for whatever reason, and like involve that to get people talking about the topic. Or, in the case of the X-Men, it's about mutants. And a lot of people have their own idea of what that means. For some, like Bryan Singer said, I think that's about homosexuality, and other people have said, I think it's about racism.
Or it's like Vietnam era anti-war songs.
Yeah,
a lot of the times I understand. Also, we're trying to sell songs, so let's not have it be completely obvious.
Exactly.
A lot of the times it was really subtle.
Mm-hmm. And it had to be good songs first, too.
And Marvel's about as subtle as a falling grand piano. There's nothing subtle about the way that Marvel has made this stuff. Yeah. They're not trying to slide something in on the sly. No. I mean, it's so obvious and in your face, it's like someone is preaching to you that you're a bad person.
And that's
people
entire.
People
That's
don't want to read
primarily
comics that
because
make them feel bad as people.
Yeah, that's primarily because most of these writers from Marvel, the newer ones, again, they endorse fan fiction. They came from Tumblr, so I assume that these writers are amateurs. Like they have actual zero skills in writing, and the zero skills in writing, they think that people should endorse these, and the lack of writing skills that these people have actually makes it apparent on how or why these things are so blatant and right in your face, because they have zero idea or zero clue in how to weave it naturally to the narrative, because that would actually take effort. And as you guys know, effort is white supremacy. It's patriarchal. It's terrible. You can't absolutely do that. It's going to trigger people. Like, hard work is literally white supremacy. I've had who the hell said that?
Showing up on time is freaking racist now.
Yep.
It's racist. Horrible.
Being late is what it should be. Damn
Well,
it.
the darkies just can't show up on time. That's how it is.
So anyway, yeah. So the issue isn't that diversity is killing comics. As nobody's even making the argument. It's the reason why, because these are the guy who worked, the guy who they're quoting, who was the vice president of sales. What he is basically stating was what comic retailers were telling him, and it's the preachiness. I mean, and this has been going on for years. So it's like, time, guys, take the wax out of your ears and listen up. It's not diversity that's the problem.
You
It's
can
the
have
way you tell your
political
stories.
messages that don't make the person who's reading them feel like a bad person.
Yeah.
When you make the villains, when you liken this a huge segment of your audience to the villain in the story, they are not going to want to read that,
Right.
and they're not going to want to support that. People want to see themselves as heroes. They want to be able to put their shoes in the place of the good guy. And just like with Red Skull and some of these other things, I mean, when they are likened to the bad guys, they don't want to read that. That's not why they read the comics.
Mm-hmm. Another thing is, you guys got to just be better writers. Just write better stories.
Yeah, you just have to be more talented.
Yeah, tell good stories.
Yeah, don't come up from Tumblr and tell that my fan fictions are good. Jesus Christ, what the
Yeah.
heck?
Exactly.
That scene pissed me off so much, and I'm a fan fiction writer.
All right, so let's move on to the next article. Game dev blames FPS resolution improvements for recruiting MRAs
Send it the link.
and Gamergate. Okay, so let me just copy this and put it through here. Boop, 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 boop. South African game developer Danny Day, the maker of Desktop Dungeons, decided to use his public platform on social media to talk about how catering towards hardcore PC gaming enthusiasts with high-end PC ports of former console exclusives is encouraging the growth of men's rights activists, misogynists, and #Gamergate.
This is not a parody article.
No, this is real.
No, this is real.
Archives of Danny Day's Twitter conversations and arguments with gamers reveals that Danny feels as if companies pushing for higher specs in software is the equivalent of opening the door for MRAs and Gamergate.
Pushing for higher
So
specs.
does that mean that
They're
MRAs
convinced to make Gamergate out to be the bad guy when they lost this fight a long time ago.
Oh my God, the boogeyman. Welcome. Well, yeah, all of you guys who use Gamergate.
Monster in a closet now.
It is.
He's a ghost of a dream.
It is. Now you guys know how we feel. So okay, Reddit user B Volleyball Ready on Kotaku in Action archived the timeline of Danny's discussions in order to capture the relevant parts of the Twitter outbursts. Danny started by saying, quote, "PC gamers can now play at 512 frames per second and 2763 by 211111122. Do you want MRAs? Because that's how you get MRAs." Apparently MRAs are PC gamers because it's the master race. Apparently.
It's strange. Something that I have noticed is that a lot of because I deal with a lot of these little small console peasanty cult these fanboy kind of channels that are like there's small ones especially. And they really do seem quite regressive a lot of the times. I mean, you can look through. I mean, they really are you do see this pattern. It makes you wonder, what is it about that crowd that attracts this kind of way of thinking? I mean, I could go here and I could find these little Xbox fanboy channels that say, I'm racist. Top Hats and Champagne is racist. PewDiePie is a racist. Colin Moriarty, he got away with making a joke about women because of his white privilege. Is that people believe this shit, and they congregate on these little crappy channels, these console fanboy channels. I don't know, what is it about it that really brings that out in that community? I've always wondered it. Probably because we're all idiots, but...
Well, I mean, the people we're talking about here, first off, they hate meritocracy. They hate that they're envious of other people that are doing better or they think are doing better than they are, and they don't like people who disagree with them. They don't even like it when people say, let's say that they actually have constructive criticism that could help them better themselves if they're willing to do that. They don't like that either. I think that they just want to demonize their enemies, and they probably don't have much to stand for at all. They probably just have something to stand against.
I would happily have one of them in a live stream so they could explain to me why I'm a racist.
I remember there was a live stream. Well, we've had a couple of people like that on, and they have the whole conversation was nothing but them attempting gotchas on us to try to make us look bad whenever possible, and other than that, they were relatively agreeable. So all of the the flames from their nostrils was gone while they were on with us. So I don't know. Good luck. I hope that you do. I'd love to see it. Because most of the time they don't want to debate or talk or anything like that.
Well, no, they want to find one thing that you said. And they don't want to understand any context. They want to call you a racist, and then they don't want. I mean, they're welcome to come and talk to me about it. None of them really had. One did. He made a fool of himself. But I mean, they're welcome to come and talk to me about it. Because I mean, in the end, it's just going to make you look like a fool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they try to turn this into a moral sort of issue. They don't bring up points. They don't bring up reasons. You're just a racist.
Yep.
Rags is a bully.
Tons of times. I'm a bully. I'm a racist bully, and I hate because I'm a PC gamer. It turned me into a racist bully in my MRA.
Yep, and you respond to 12-year-olds who can't defend themselves on your videos. You just attack them, just kids, children.
It doesn't matter how magnanimous I try to be. You can never win.
Nope.
Never.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
All right, so the most recent console exclusive to arrive on PC was Platinum Games' Bayonetta, with improved frame rate performance and 4K resolution support, along with added SSAO for stunning new ambient occlusion rendering and enhanced shadow mapping. The PC port of Bayonetta provided PC gamers with a rendition of the game that just wasn't technologically possible on the far inferior hardware of the PS3 or Xbox 360 when the game released 8 years ago. In result of being a far better looking and far better performing release on PC, Bayonetta has endured a great deal of positive feedback from the gaming community. And a lot of
That's because she's a strong, sex positive female character who is confident, and she is independent, and she's powerful. But I mean, they find a way to turn that to a bad thing.
No, yeah, would they objectify her? I mean, Anita Sarkeesian already went in on Bayonetta.
Yeah, but
I can't imagine.
She doesn't bring in the clicks like she used to.
I can't imagine the reactions of the console peasants who are simultaneously social justice warrior Tumblrites who find out that, oh my god, Bayonetta is now a PC game with 4K resolution at 60 FPS. That's triggered, and it's Bayonetta, so that's double triggered.
They're upset that we could see the boobies in such clarity.
Bayonetta's more of an ass chick, though. So you gotta be like, she's more of
the way. Yeah, I mean the smoothness of the frames, as the physics of the jiggle can be seen.
That's right. Okay, so the PC port, already read that bit. Catering to glorious PCMR has already netted Sega nearly 50,000 in sales since re-releasing the game on April 11th, according to Steam Spy. Positive word of mouth and a cheap price will likely continue. Danny Day has an issue with this, though, claiming that this perpetuates and encourages a culture of misogyny in MRAs.
The same thing that they were saying when it came out for consoles years ago, just re-releasing, and so it's all coming out again.
Having a powerful PC means it can just attract MRAs or perpetuate them. They're just... this doesn't even make...
Because when they're on PCs, they're on the same platform that they can go straight to MRA Reddits to. They don't even have to leave their console. They're right there.
They can actually have Reddit open in another tab while they're playing their game. So they can indulge in their misogyny and objectify Bayonetta at the same time.
They can play Bayonetta while listening to Sargon.
No!
We demand you use 2 devices for such things.
Or listen to Honey Badger Radio. Okay, so here's more of his tweets. Wait, just in case you're serious, via the PC master race bullshit, Kotaku in action, Gamergate, and misogynist gamer dick measuring. What? I do not like MRAs, so if we had better reporting around ports instead of fostering hardware divas, maybe things would be less shit. I'm a goddamn dev, and I'm telling you that obsession with PC hardware purism lets the bad people pretend that they're your friends.
I still don't see the link though.
I don't either.
They still haven't actually said the length of why higher resolutions and frame rates and all that stuff has anything to do with MRAs. They haven't even given a symbolic sort of we've done it jokingly, which might actually be the real reason, things being what they are. But they haven't actually given us a link. They haven't shown us the connection.
Keep in mind that this is coming from a developer who develops indie games.
Yeah, indie game developers are...
Why can't I be popular too?
That's what I'm talking about. Meritocracy is not a thing. I don't know how good his indie game is. I know that there are some indie games that are great. There's also a lot of trash. So I don't know.
My dick is filled with 1080 Ti.
Danny Day. I'm gonna go ahead and try. No, they won't let me look at him. All right, fuck him. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, MRAs seem to be weirdly comfortable in the PC gamer communities that need messaging off of their superiority to other gamers. Can you use your...
Are they?
Yes,
Are they?
Yes, weirdly
It's
comfortable.
news to me. I had no idea this whole time. I've been surrounded by toxic MRAs, and I didn't even know it. It must be very subtle.
If they game on PC, they're MRAs. That's apparently that's what I'm getting. I gotta step my game up because I play on console, and I don't bitch or anything. I'm just keeping in my little corner of the... all right, so can you use your hardware to its full potential without a Nazi moniker? Isn't all hardware... Isn't all hardware playing the game at full potential, regardless? I think the tendency of PC hardware obsessed dick measurers to be friendly towards MRAs is weird. Most players don't do that.
Well, you got the point.
I guess
you got the point
being
right there.
friendly to MRAs is bad. Just being friendly to other human beings is like, fuck, can't have that.
Well, most players don't do that because most players don't do that. What are you even talking about?
You know what will change the tide of this stalemate in Battlefield? Some MRA talking points. We're pushing through their lines now. Quick, keep typing.
Did you know that men make up the majority of suicides?
It's like shit, the left flank is faltering.
No. Oh no! Advance. Over 98% of all workplace fatalities are men. It's so
stupid. Populations.
Okay, so then here's some more tweets. I just want to get through the rest of these. They're funny. It's the breathless fantasy of games coming to the right place and finally getting fast enough to be good weirds me out because those same games were bad on a slower console. LOL. It's the same double standard of covet the sexual woman, denigrate the slut. So
she wants to be coveted.
So apparently a very powerful PC is a beautiful woman that is sexualized that you're coveting, and if you have a weak sauce machine or a console, then that is a slut that should be denigrated. That's his logic. That's the connection, guys. That is the connection.
That guy is literally jealous because his console cannot run high quality games.
Because his console's a slut.
His console is a... It's not even a good slut. It's not even a good slut. A good slut is a 1080 Ti with a 4K resolution. That is a good slut. And Cole, you can have to be on record on that. I am a misogynist. Horrible, horrible misogynist.
You're a terrible person.
That's kind of sexist to imply that men don't have the skill to be, prostitutes.
I'm skeptical.
I can't be sexist to men.
I'm skeptical that they're referring to.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You're good.
I'm skeptical that they're referring to computers as female. Did you
They refer
Did you just
every
assume?
object as her.
Did you just assume
Well,
the
that-
gender?
Computers
Whoa! No.
Did you just assume the gender of my machine?
If anything, it makes it. If anything, it says it's what's on the inside that counts.
That's right. That's a good point.
It's what the
I don't know what they're bitching about. I just
it's on the inside, especially when you go into it. That's what counts.
open it up, change out the insides.
Once you download it, can't stop.
Insert it to the slot.
Moving on.
Some RAM.
Yes, I think that people who write breathlessly only
Oh,
about
wait
how
a
What,
second. Wait a second.
What?
RAM, MRA, conspiracy.
That's right.
It's RAM. Yeah,
MRA. Yeah.
No. Woo.
This is true.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, I think that people who write breathlessly only about how many pixels a port can do are encouraging the kind of stupid that makes MRAs. Wow.
This is. I don't see the connect. He's not making any actual connections.
It's what happens when shit takes a shit. I don't know what else to say.
Then he goes out by
it's
praising
so
the
dumb.
number. Reading this, there's no. I just there's no connection here. What's the first comment? MRAs and gamer gators can fuck off and not buy my games. Challenge accepted.
Okay,
We're
man, whatever
we're
you
reaching
say.
new levels of autism. Increasing resolution makes you an MRA.
Wee lad. Oh man, this is just.
I don't know. I don't know what he's angry about. I mean, I guess he just doesn't like MRAs. He doesn't.
That's it. That's it. He doesn't like MRAs.
I guess he
He
just
doesn't-
doesn't like MRAs.
And he also doesn't like people who are very overly concerned with the power of their PC and their PC Master Race gamers. So if he doesn't like both of those groups, then they must be the same group.
Well,
Boom!
I've actually heard from these little peasant channels that PC Master Race it's Nazi connotations. I mean, it's not a joke, an obvious joke.
Well, you see those ROG laptops and MSI laptops that have these black and red. That's a Nazi connotation in there. You see the symbolism.
Absolutely. Shiro Amada sent us a super chat, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Rags, pick of your PC. Thank you, Shiro, for those $2.
It's coming. Don't worry.
It's coming.
I could just take a pic. It's really nothing to look at.
He already showed his PC on his every video. Don't you see his dick is like dingling on it?
Yeah. Right.
Let me see. It's just a very simple black box with bits in it. There's really nothing to it. I'll show you. Yeah, sure. But it's not going to be. It doesn't have lights or anything like that. It's not flash. I don't look at it, so I don't really care about how it looks.
Oh, and please subscribe to Rags as well.
Oh yeah, subscribe to Rags.
Feel free to subscribe to both of them if you want to. I don't care. Do what you want. Okay, next story. Marvel releases statement. Speaking of Marvel and diversity hires and diversity stuff, they released a statement on the controversial X-Men Gold art. You want me to give you guys?
I love gold.
I
Yeah,
like
sure.
gold. Here you go.
This was the symbolism in the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Following an outcry by fans on social media, Marvel Comics has responded to controversial artwork released on the pages of X-Men Gold #1. The artwork in question involves numbers that reference a verse from the Quran cited in support of intolerance towards other religions, as well as certain political protests taking place in Indonesia. Marvel's statement, provided to comicbook.com, is as follows. Quote, "The mentioned artwork in X-Men Gold #1 was inserted without knowledge behind its reported meanings. These implied references do not reflect the views of the writer, editors, or anyone else at Marvel and are in direct opposition of the inclusiveness of Marvel Comics and what the X-Men have stood for since their creation. This artwork will be removed from subsequent printings, digital versions, and trade paperbacks, and disciplinary action is being taken." X-Men Gold #1 was illustrated by Indonesian artist Ardian Syaf. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Erdens.
Ardian Chef.
Ardian Chef. Chef snuck several references into the art, including numbers referencing protests by Muslim Indonesians of the Christian governor
of Jakarta,
of
Basuki
Jakarta.
Cahayapurnama.
Yes.
Basuki Cahaya Purnama.
Who
Yep.
himself was accused of making certain intolerant statements. The scene has the Jewish mutant Kitty Pryde appealing to a crowd of humans for tolerance.
How do we know she's Jewish?
Oh, Kitty Pryde's been Jewish for a long time. That's like...
There's a text that says Jew right next to her.
Oh, and then
No,
there's that.
seriously.
Yeah, it says jewelry, but the last few letters are cut off, so it just says Jew, and it's right next to her head in the drawing. Just in case you didn't fucking know, Kitty Pryde. Echoes. Alright, X-Men Gold #1 was... I already read that bit. The scene has the Jewish mutant Kitty Pryde appealing to a crowd of humans for tolerance, ironically. CF's art places Kitty's head adjacent to the Jew portion of a jewelry sign in the background. And the numbers 212 and 51 are in the background, which are related to the Jakarta protests. Anyway, we already know what the other content is. So Marvel basically did big time damage control, and they were like, "Whoops, that's got nothing to do with us. We didn't even know." Apparently,
well, that's not very diverse of them.
Yeah, just firing Indonesian artists. Horrible. Why are you firing my people, Marvel? That's terrible.
That's
And you.
it's wrong.
I got pissed off so much at both that Well, I'm actually pissed off at all sides. Almost all sides. First of all, I got pissed off at Marvel. Why are you hiring an Islamist fundamentalist, a guy from freaking FPE, as in Islamic Defense Front, as in the social justice warriors of Islam, of the Muslims? Why are you picking this guy up for writing your comic? Don't you do freaking background checks? This guy went to freaking protest, calling for the freaking mayor of Jakarta to be beheaded. I mean, Marvel, look, when you say that with certain knowledge behind his reported meetings, but you hired him. You hired him to do this freaking comic. You don't do background checks on him? I mean, freaking hell. And that's the one thing that I hated. The second thing that I hated is him, Ardian Shaft, him personally, for just pushing these agenda. And let's just say that I agree with him, okay? Let's just say that I agree with his politics and everything like that.
Wait, hold on, before you continue.
Oh.
Apaben supports RDNCF, confirmed. He doesn't want Jews anywhere near him. Rescue Indonesia from the Jews, from the Jew menace.
Rescue Indonesia from the Jewish menace.
Okay, go ahead, Apaben. I just want to make sure everyone knows your position on this before you continue with your little story.
Yeah, let's just say that I agree with him. The Indonesian artist. Yeah, I did.
I say you didn't go far enough.
Oh, I need to go more. I need to actually say Allahu Akbar.
He was too subtle, I say.
Okay, anyway. This causes his firing. This causes Marvel other artists, freelance artists from Indonesia, they got fired, or they got their contracts terminated, or basically people from the West don't want to hire them anymore because they're worried that there might be Islamic extremists as well. Even though the Islamic extremists that these people, the artist that Marvel hired happens to be a social justice warrior, and they just so happen to be, well, like every social justice warrior in every single sphere of life, they're like a minority in the loudest of minority, the most toxic, the most damaging of minorities among the rational and sensible majority. And that's the positive news, is that lots of Indonesians are pissed off about this, although there are some Indonesians out there that are calling for the boycott of Marvel. Not only calling for the boycott of Marvel, they also want the entire Western civilization to just die, just destroyed into pieces by infiltrating Marvel from within the depths, and just lie to people that the message inside is about peace and tolerance. Like,
well, social justice warriors are historically pro-Islam too.
Yeah,
so I mean, he's not really outside the bounds of normality for us.
When he literally did say that these images were it's about peace and tolerance.
peace and tolerance.
These images are about peace and tolerance. Like they're literally the opposite.
And by the way, for those of you who are wondering, the Quran verse that he referenced that is about peace and tolerance, it's about literally discriminating against the Jews and Christians and not appointing them as their leader, as in the mayor of Jakarta that people elected, a Christian who happens to be a Chinese, and his identity as a Chinese also got attacked. So it's turning people racist now. That's the fucking
You can't even be wrong. You have to be the right looking kind of wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as to whether or not Marvel either fucked up and didn't do their homework on this guy before they hired him, which one could argue is profiling, which is racist, or if they did do their homework and they just were like, well, that's probably not going to come up. I mean, who pays attention to Indonesian politics? We're just going to ignore it. Like, just make sure he does the artwork. And, he's not... Because the thing is, so they either were ignorant of it or they weren't ignorant of it. And they decided to hire him anyway. And I don't know which one of those two things it is, but it doesn't make Marvel look good either way. Because they probably should do some homework. That's usually what any employer does when they hire somebody. And if they come to that conclusion, then they learn, which is probably not hidden, because you can look up this guy and his activism and what he stands for, and it's pretty much all over the internet. So it's not hidden. It's not behind a paywall or anything like that. So they either knew and they just went ahead and hired him anyway, or they didn't do their homework and they didn't find out who he was, and they just said, I like this drawing of Colossus, you're hired. You're going to do the one comic series where tolerance is basically the center post of what the X-Men is, and that's the one you're going to draw. What's the irony in that? So
it's over 9,000.
And now he doesn't.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't know this stuff when they hired him, and that they didn't see this stuff as it was in the. Because I mean, it's one of those things that like I would never catch something like that. To me, it doesn't. To me, at first glance, you would never even imagine it had all these references to these things in it.
Well, here's a little problem. He is popular here. He is relatively popular. And God, turn the alarm off. He's relatively popular here, and the moment he is popular here, and that's where just Marvel needs to actually do their freaking research.
Yeah. Also, as far as the hidden messages in the book goes, when I looked at it, I thought it was a bit of a stretch at first. When I didn't read the article. People were saying, "Oh yeah, there's some Quran stuff in here and some anti-Semitic messaging in the stuff." It wasn't ironically unsolicited opinions on Israel, obvious from the Angela comic. But I was like, well, I don't know, that might be a bit of a stretch. And then people kept talking about it. Then I looked into it and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of obvious. But the thing is, though, if I was a editor and I was basically choosing what's going to get printed or whatever, I'd probably get this and I'd look at the numbers on Colossus's shirt. I wouldn't catch the Jew thing by her head or anything, but I'd be looking at the shit on his shirt and I'd be like, what is this a reference to? What does this mean? Especially if no one else has anything like it. At first glance, you'd think, oh, it's like a jersey number or something because they're playing baseball, right? But, it looks a little bit weird and other people aren't. I would have probably tried to look into it, maybe asked around. I don't know.
Okay, here's the thing. I can explain to you. Do you know the reason why Indonesians catch up to that QS 551 thing? Because that's a very common shirt. That sort of thing is very common. You actually print a shirt with the Quran verse in your back or in your front. That is very common here. So it's actually sold in in different mosques. So when people catch up that reference, they're like, oh, Colossus is actually a Muslim.
Yeah, Colossus.
It is ridiculous.
I bet. You know what? Putin's gonna have some words about that.
This is all one big Russian conspiracy.
Putin's got opinions on Colossus and the Quran. Well, I don't know what else.
Syria.
I don't know what else to say about that. Yeah, Moab. So let's go on to the next bit here. So there was a video that Rags did recently that I wanted to bring up briefly, and it was about this guy, it was a TEDx talk, or was it just a TED talk? I think it was TEDx, right? And it was an Australian dude that was talking about sexism in Grand Theft Auto and like what kind of followed. Rags, you want to like give us the short version of?
Basically, if I could sum, he was talking about how the gist of the idea was that Paul was doing a TED talk on how gaming is sexism, specifically Grand Theft Auto. He talked about a review that was done by Carolyn Pettit years ago when the game first came out, and the outcry that ensued when she docked the score of the game because she felt it was sexist and misogynist. And that was obviously a huge issue because you're a reviewer. You have to keep your personal politics out of these things. You have to keep things as objective as possible. And he literally said, I mean, I'm trying not to paraphrase him, but he said, if you're going to argue with me, if you're going to argue against the idea that video games are sexist, it makes you pro-sexism.
Yeah.
And I'm not really paraphrasing him. That's actually what he said.
It's like a Kafka trap.
Yeah, just the fact that you were debating the idea that video games are not sexist, that makes you pro-sexism.
So in other words, you are a sexist, and if you disagree with me, that just proves you're a sexist.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like if the cops shoot and kill a black guy, and you say, well, actually, it probably wouldn't because he's black. It's probably because he was trying to take the officer's gun and hurt the officer.
That is such a racist.
Exactly.
thing to say.
Just arguing that means that you're a racist. It's the exact same thing just with sexism.
Yep.
Just arguing against me, just having the gall to say that just the idea that you're arguing against me means that you're pro-sexism. It's the same thing that people conflate how defending the rights of a Nazi makes you a Nazi, that sort of thing. It's the exact same thing, just in sexism gaming form. And it's awful.
By the way, Rags, I don't know. I watched your video, but I think I didn't watch it all the way through. Did you make any reference of how Caroline Pettit is like one of the managers of Feminist Frequency?
Yeah, she works at Feminist Frequency.
I didn't make that reference. No, I didn't. I didn't look too much into Carolyn all that much. But
she is the manager.
That doesn't surprise me at all. That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah. And they actually, I want to read a little bit of her review of GTA of GTA 5 because what's his name? Phil? Is that his name? Paul.
Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah.
Paul Verhoeven.
Paul. He starts off by saying that her review heaped a bunch of praise and compliments on it, and then she later makes the comment that it's just a little bit sexist, and then everyone blew up at her. But this is what the actual written review says. Where do you begin talking about Grand Theft Auto 5? Do you start with the vast, varied, beautiful open world? Do you start with the innovative structure that gives you 3 independent protagonists that you can switch between on the fly? Maybe you talk about the assortment of side activities that you can engage in, or the tremendous number of ways in which you can go about making your own fun. Or perhaps you dive into the game's story problems, or its serious issues with women. GTA 5 is a complicated and fascinating game, one that fumbles here and there and has an unnecessary strain of misogynist nastiness running through it. But it also does amazing things no other open-world game has attempted before, using multiple perspectives to put you in the thick of cinematic heist sequences and other exhilarating multi-layered missions like no open-world game before.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because it's only a problem when it happens to women.
Yep.
Grand Theft Auto the game's been out for like 15 years, and the series has built itself around being social commentary and satire, where it exploits hyperbolic stereotypes of everybody, no matter who you are,
including feminists,
including everybody. I think no one is safe. It's like South Park in a sense. It just makes fun of everybody. But the problem is when it makes fun of something that that someone identifies with, be it a woman or whatnot. Then it's an issue. But it makes fun of everything, like nerds and all that. It makes fun of nerds. It makes fun of fucking furries or I don't know who knows. It makes fun of everything. But it's only a problem. It's okay to make fun of everybody else. But when you make fun of me for the exact same thing, now it's a problem. You can't make fun of women, but you can make, like Paul said, the game is sexist. Let me tell you objectively, academically why. He starts off, the 3 protagonists are male. I was like, well shit. Fuck. Well, this presentation is sexist then.
actually, it's a lot deeper than that, Rags. Trevor, there's one scene in which Franklin's aunt, who is a fucking feminist, came in to say, "Fuck male supremacy! Fuck male supremacy!" And then Trevor came in and say, "Shut the fuck up!"
Yeah, because she meets that crazy friend. Yeah. I need to get back into it, just goof around a little bit. I haven't played in a long time. But everyone gets made fun of. Everybody.
They've always been done it that way, too. It's like GTA's been that way for a long time. It's not new to 5 that it would just essentially make fun of and satirize everybody. I mean, you can listen to like the radio talk show stuff they do, and they make fun of feminists and shit on there in GTA 4.
Yeah, there's super liberals on the radio. There's super conservatives on the radio. They're all parodies. They're
for God's sake, the internet cafe is called Twat.
Yes, Twat.
Yeah, the social media site in the game is called Life Invader. and you know everything from everything is it's a big parody of popular American culture with all the stereotypes and everything that comes along with it.
The Budweiser drink is called Pisswasser.
Yeah, Pisswasser. And of course, Wasser being German for water. And what's so interesting is that when you go into these games and you look at all the things that they're making fun of, they don't really pull their punches on anybody. And I like the protagonist for the most part. I think Michael was my favorite of the 3. I think he had the deepest.
Yeah, me too. I like Michael next to Franklin.
Yeah, but they're all terrible, horrible people.
Yeah.
But you can relate to them in these ways because it's about, it's not a story. They're not real characters. I just think they're exaggerated.
Yeah.
Although I like how the characters progress. I like how every character's progress. The character progressed. Michael starts off like having all his family like hate him and everything like that. Like all his family abandoned him. Then he progressed. He went on to have actually a real job, and his family start to love him. That's actual character development in there.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Franklin had a really good sort of thing. The whole, where you come from where you want to be, and does money and fame change people and things like that. I mean, they were all good protagonists. Trevor was just crazy. He was really the weakest character of them all because he was just insane. He was just really just a psychopath.
He's insane for the sake of insane.
Yeah, he was just fun. He was the funnest character because he didn't really have a character. He was just crazy. Right? That's why he was fun. He was fun to play with, and his missions were fun because he was just crazy. What insane thing is he going to do next? Is he going to fly off the rails and do?
He's supposed to like represent the typical attitudes of your Grand Theft Auto players.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, Paul even said in the he even said that these characters can influence bad behavior in real life. He makes it an offhand sort of comment that he glosses over, but he definitely says that it's pretty much toxic for you to play these kind of characters because it could lead to problems in real life.
Oh my god.
Well, he didn't gloss it over. He said that GTA 5 is sexist and it makes you sexist.
Well,
people who play the games are just sexist. I mean, you're just sexist.
And if you play them
so people who play the game
and if you
are
play
already
them on
sexist.
and if you play them on a high-end PC, forget about it. Then you're an MRA
You're
too.
sexist MRA.
Yeah.
You're double sexist.
So playing it on console, that makes you sexist. So by playing it on PC, that makes you MRA.
Yeah, MRA, Gamergate, Nazi, sexist. That's like a whole other level.
It depends how much gigs of RAM that you have.
Yeah.
Because if you have 8 gigs of RAM, you're not nearly as much of MRA as someone who has 16.
That's right.
Yeah.
Check your RAM privilege.
And even when he talks about agency that men have in video games that women don't have. And what pops into my mind is what is the percentage of male characters that you kill in video games compared to the female ones?
Oh man, it's
imagine every war game, 99% of your kills are men, if it's that low. Every Nazi, every communist, every American, Russian, German terrorist, every single one is male. 99% of the people that you kill in video games are men.
You know what? I would also argue that every Koopa and Goomba is also male. That Mario steps on. Every one of them. Because if they're not, they're usually painted with lipstick or something.
You jump on them, they slide out of the shell. You're body shaming them.
Yes.
Actually, yeah. actually, thanks to this diversity nonsense, we kill a lot more women than we used to be.
I think
Like
so too.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate has like your character, regardless whether or not you play as the guy or the girl, literally beating the living shit out of women. Like, good God, the kills in Assassin's Creed are brutal. Like, just slam bang with a freaking cane, regardless whether or not the twins you played, and they're like women in there, women assassins, like that they just up the ante. Like, these people who are demanding say, oh, women shouldn't be killed, but then they also say, oh, women should also be enemies too. Well, you have women be killed too. You got Assassin's Creed, the most diverse game of all time. Have female assassins that you could beat up the shit. I mean, good God, just try to just YouTube Assassin's Creed combat, and you just see women being beaten up. It's fucking insane.
And there are ways to have, like, we can go back. There was that Overwatch article not too long ago where someone praised the game's success and how good it was based on the diversity of the characters. That being not the diversity of their play styles and their roles and how unique they are from one another from a gameplay perspective, but because they look different.
What?
Because their skin tones are different.
Somebody said they play better because the characters are diverse?
No, the game is better. The game has met such critical success, and the game is good because the characters are diverse on a
we have South Korean gamers, we have Chinese, we have Greeks, we have Egyptians. That's the one thing that makes the game diverse. That's one thing, because Battleborn is successful because of that. It definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, you could work that into the mechanics as well. You see that in a game like Dirty Bomb, where the characters you could choose from,
Team Fortress 2,
and everything. They're men and women, and like the women normally are, because humans are sexually dimorphic. Women are normally smaller than men. The characters that are smaller normally have less health, but they move a lot more quickly.
And they have a smaller
so
hitbox.
they have that built into it. Yeah, and they have a smaller hitbox too.
Yeah.
So the big hulking guy with the minigun, he's gonna have a lot more health, but he doesn't move as quick, and he's really easy to hit. So it's that trade-off.
Yeah.
There's also Team Fortress 2. Like that's not it's full of white men, as Matt Pat from Game Theory says.
Wait, did he criticize? I actually like those videos. I didn't watch too many of them. Did he? Well, I didn't see that. Did he say that that's a problem?
Yes, he did. He did. My brother was watching that video, and he actually said, but the cast of Team Fortress 2 is filled with straight white male, ignoring the fact that Pyro is the most ambiguous gender out of all of them.
Not just that, but how do we know they're straight? Because they're just killing each other. It could be out of homosexual frustration or something.
Why does it even matter?
No, it doesn't.
Really,
matter. It doesn't matter.
And that's the thing. And they say, like, even Paul has so many contradictions of himself in that article. He says, feminism's about equality. It's not about something. And I was like, well, why is it called feminism? It's a little strange, And he says it's about being a meritocracy. It's about everybody's, talents and their abilities being what matter. And then he goes on to argue that the game would just be better just because vaginas. I was like, Paul, you're gonna have to pick what kind of feminism you're with. You can't flip-flop. Literally, consecutive sentences are going against one another here. You're saying that it's about what's on the inside that matters, and then you're also arguing that there's no women, so it's sexist, and the game would be better if there were just if the characters were women, and by no other virtue.
Well, Paul, I don't know when was that video made, because
it was made when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. So it was years ago. But it's still, but the ideas are still, that's why I still went after it, because the idea still exists.
No. If it was made right after Grand Theft Auto Online was released, he would laugh lots, even more eggs spit on his face, like as if that's enough already. Like, hey, you can actually play as a woman in GTA Online. Hello. But I thought the video was made after that.
I don't know if you guys know, but I want to talk a little bit about the word feminism. So the word feminism was coined by a guy named Charles Fourier in like in the 1800s, I think. And what it really means is judging a society by how it treats its women. That's basically where it starts from, okay? So that means that you, in order for that to work, you have to ignore how it treats men, because that's not important. You have to look at how a society treats its women, and depending on how good or bad that is, and by the way, it's always bad because you can always find ways to say that it's bad, especially because you don't have anything to counter. Like, you have to look at two sides of an equation, right, to see how unjust something is. But if you're only looking at women and you're ignoring the male half of the equation, then you'll always find ways in which to see that women have it worse in some way. So Charles Fourier, who is also a he was associated with the school of utopian socialism, not that that's a surprise, is the guy who coined the term feminism. And what it really means is judging a society by how it treats its women. So it's got nothing to do with equality. It's got nothing to do with rights. That's where it comes from.
Nothing to do with men.
No, nothing to do with men. That's where it comes from, and it basically works under that model. So basically, you start when you look at anything. So it started with culture, but now you look at anything. And in the examples of what we're talking about, people look at comics, people look at video games, people look at film, people look at television, whatever the medium is, and they say, well, how does this treat women? And you're always gonna get some negativity from it, especially because you're not looking at how men are treated. That's why this guy Paul, I don't give a shit about his name.
Paul.
He looks like a fucking.
He's wearing a belt and suspenders.
Yeah, phony lumberjack guy who has an Australian accent but is probably not really Australian. I want your birth certificate.
Button is buttoned, but there's no tie.
I want your birth certificate, Paul. I want proof.
Are tucked into
I want you to watch the Tomb Raider 2014 Death compilation, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, but he is basically doing what feminism does. It basically examines any given culture, subculture, whatever, by how it treats its women. And one of the ways you do that is you ask women. And when you get negative feedback from women, then you're going to say this is basically the whole of the problem with this whole thing. And you never look at men. That's why like I said, when Paul talks about things like online harassment or the way that people, how women have to deal with trash talking or fucking losing because the games can be competitive or whatever it is he's complaining about, he doesn't look at the male side of it, which, trolls attack everybody. They don't give a fuck who you are. Mm-hmm. But he's going to talk about how it focuses on women. And that's because he's a feminist, and that's what feminists do. So.
Don't you see the most diverse game of all time, Tomb Raider 2013, and Rise of the Tomb Raider, made by lots and lots of people from diverse sets of backgrounds? That game is literally about how Lara Croft the universe hates Lara Croft so much that it's going to literally crumble upon her. Like that. Has anybody ever criticized that game for that? Has anybody ever criticized? Has any feminist? No?
No.
Come on. I mean,
we can do better.
Have you seen? Yeah, we can all do better.
Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next article. I thought that was kind of funny. And if you guys want to watch Rags' video, he did it like an hour and a half long about Paul and his little TED talk and shit.
It's a great video. You should all watch it.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat says Rags is a fags.
I know a while ago, Raggett was one of the names.
Have better insults for Rags, guys. Come on.
Yeah, or just maybe make. I mean, but I worked kind of hard on the video because you talked about the video.
Yeah, you could do that. But if you guys want to send us all insults, put them in the super chat and I'll read them.
Definitely.
Pay me to read them. Fuck you, pay me. All right, so next article. 4 big Godzilla problems we need to address. I just want to read one of them because I think it's the funniest. Okay, so there was this movie. It was extremely subpar called Godzilla that came out a couple years ago. I don't know. It was actually quite a while back.
2014.
2014.
I remember.
Yeah. And they're basically listing in Cinema Blend here what the problems with Godzilla is. And one might say, oh, it's the fact that there isn't enough fucking Godzilla in this Godzilla movie, or maybe that there was like these minor characters that nobody gave a fuck about, that it was slow as shit, that Ken Watanabe was underused except for the meme that came out of it, let them fight. But it was just a bad movie, let them fight. But no, Cinema Blend's big problem with it was the film completely ignores its female human characters. Let's be fair, Godzilla.
You thought it was about Godzilla? Well, fuck you.
Yeah, right. Let's be fair. Godzilla is far from the only modern blockbuster to be completely lacking in interesting female characters. Sexism has been a significant and bad thing in Hollywood for decades, and the sad truth is that a great number of big-budget studio movies don't really bother developing their female characters. But just because Godzilla is a single part of a larger trend does not mean that this important fault should be ignored. You know,
well,
funny.
To be fair, the female character in Godzilla is a nurse just running around grabbing kids. Well, not exactly progressive. It needs to be a badass action girl that shoots Godzilla in the dick.
Yeah, and she needs to be wearing a hijab.
Oh, and by the way, did you guys know that Godzilla is a legal citizen of Japan?
No. That's funny. But is Ultraman also? Because
we should. No, not. We need to make Ultraman to be a legal citizen in Japan. And by the way, just in case you don't believe me, yes, Godzilla is actually a legal citizen in Japan. You can actually Google that. It is the funniest thing ever.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if he shows up, you're not gonna. I mean, you're gonna tell him to leave.
They're gonna send him back. You
like,
got
go back to. I don't know what's out there.
The ocean?
No. My point
Kaiju
is,
Island?
If Godzilla can gain actual legal citizenship in Japan, why can't the illegal immigrants?
Well, because I mean, Godzilla may be dangerous, but hold on now. Let's just slow your roll, buddy. We don't want to go too far. I mean,
people want to see Godzilla.
They do. Okay. Anyway, there are 3 immensely talented actresses in the new monster movie, with Juliette Binoche, Elizabeth Olsen, and Sally Hawkins all playing supporting roles. And not a single one of them really gets in to do anything for the entire film. Binoche's character is killed off within 10 minutes of meeting her. Olsen doesn't really do much more than worry about her husband and panic during the destruction of San Francisco, because you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't panic while your city is collapsing. And Hawkins...
he ignored the part where she actually saves people, saves kids, and from the destruction and everything like that, helping nursing other. Well, no. We should focus on the fact. No. That's too progressive.
Yeah, I mean, what should have happened is this character should have been getting developed over the course of this 2-hour film, and the only way they could do that is to take more screen time away from Godzilla. I mean, we don't really care about the giant monster. I want to know what happens with this nurse. Is she going to get the promotion?
That's why I really came to this theater. I want to find out about the romance between these characters.
Yeah, that worked so well for Pearl Harbor. I mean, that's what we wanted.
Every single character needs to be a main character. I need to be represented. I need to be the center front of attention in a film called Godzilla. Yes. I need to be the center of attention.
How is Hollywood both super sexist and super progressive at the same time? Because when you go to the Oscars, you'd swear these motherfuckers will not shut up about all the usual progressive talking points, and they'll just give awards away to movies because they have black gay protagonists. And yet, at the same time, critics still criticize them because they haven't done enough for like female characters and minority characters and whitewashing and all that. Which one is it, guys?
Depends on which one's more useful at the time.
Yeah. Well, I think that I'd like to see a movie where Godzilla rises up in the Middle East and just lays.
Someone just proposed the idea of Godzilla versus Mecha Assad. Who would win?
Well, I don't know how vulnerable is Godzilla to chemical weapons.
No, not sure.
They wouldn't be his, but they'd be there. He'd get blamed for it. Okay, so anyway, so I thought this was a funny thing because of they're putting the focus on female humans in a film that's about a fucking monster. And by the way, they make it a point to say female human characters because Godzilla is female. At least I think so, according to.
We don't know how. Well, that's assuming.
The Roland Emmerich is correct. I don't know that did they ever say the Godzilla's gender in any of the real Godzilla movies?
Well,
Any of the real Godzilla
well,
movies.
Yeah.
yeah. The Roland Emmerich one is the only one where
No, the one with Matthew
hey.
Broderick, it's a female.
That's the Roland
Yeah.
Emmerich one. That's the same
Yeah,
one. I'm
that-
talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
I
a lot
don't
of
know.
fish.
I mean, it didn't. It was a monster either way.
That's true, but the gender of the Godzilla is extremely important to these people.
Yeah, I'm looking at it from a
Extremely
normal
important.
person's
Godzilla was
perspective.
breeding in that movie, in that Roland Emmerich movie. Did you guys miss it? He was just, he
Putting eggs all over the the Barton Coliseum or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there were all these little baby Godzillas, which were basically just a way for him to reproduce the Velociraptor scene from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was basically
literally.
it. Oh yeah, no, that was it. Seriously, like Roland Emmerich, he is a terrible director, and basically what he wanted to do was he saw, oh, Jurassic Park is popular. Well, I'm going to top that. So he took every trope that Jurassic Park had created. I wouldn't even say they're tropes because when Jurassic Park did them, they were kind of new. Like the rippling water with the, under the earth tremors and shit. Like they did that first, right? So he basically took that and he just cranked it up to 11 and was like, look at my original movie, man. Look, see, when Godzilla takes a step, cars move. It's not
'Cause
just
it's
your
big.
water. Everything's bigger, man.
Roland Emmerich, to be fair, Roland Emmerich, he doesn't just rip off Jurassic Park. He rips off everything.
Yeah.
Like everything that is popular. Oh, global warming, climate change is popular, guys. Let's make the day after tomorrow. Oh, wait
Yeah.
a second, 2012 is popular. Let's make 2012.
Yep. Didn't he also do Independence Day, the first one?
Yeah, he did Independence Day. Oh, wait, Independence Day, guys. Let's make a movie about Independence Day. Let's do that.
Yeah. I think
And then let's make a sequel.
he should make a movie about every holiday, just because I want to see him do it. It's like a dare. I want you to make a Good Friday movie, Roland Emmerich. Oh, you want to see a Good Friday movie? Here, hold my beer. I'm going to make one. I don't know what it'll be about. Jesus, I guess? I don't know. Okay, so anyway, that was a really stupid article, but I just wanted to talk about that briefly. Now, next one. Mass Effect Andromeda's criticism was like a gut punch, says BioWare dev.
Garbage.
If only we were better at making video games.
I know.
If only we were better at making video games. If only. Please bring back the old team.
Like
That's-
everybody who was good at making shit left, and now our games suck.
Right. I wish
And
people
people
would stop
complain-
criticizing us.
And people complain we have to block the forums, block everything.
Let's see what he
Like
has
no
to
one's
say.
gonna buy our next Mass Effect game.
So Mass Effect Andromeda. God, what a fucking creepy looking game. This was from the last time it was updated was yesterday, so this is relatively recent. Lead designer for Mass Effect Andromeda, Ian Frazier, spoke recently with IB Times about working with a AAA sci-fi RPG epic with the rest of the BioWare team. However, part of the conversation veered into territory about the criticisms and feedback coming from the hardcore gaming community, and Frazier described it as being like a punch to the gut. Wait, how do we know this was only coming from the hardcore gaming community? Because I would think that if you were just a fan of Mass Effect, or even if you weren't, and you saw these fucking videos with these creepy-ass facial expressions and goofy-ass animations, that you'd be like, this is shit, and I'm not going to buy it. And you don't have to
Probably
be
talking
hardcore
about-
to feel that way.
Probably talking about non-mobile gamers.
Oh, right,
Non-
right. Yeah. Not all the women gamers that are playing Candy
People
Crush.
who buy dedicated gaming platforms or systems.
Yeah, people who play games sitting down in front of a TV or other screen. As
People
far
Borrow
Time
someone
for
else's
video games.
console.
yeah. According to Frazier, quote, as far as my personal reaction, I won't speak for the other guys, but I spent quite a bit of time on Twitter and various forums and such. And I won't lie, it's hard. It's hard to see the criticisms, some of the challenges that are out there. It's difficult because we do want to help. So you're out on Twitter and forums and stuff trying to troubleshoot issues or give people a hint on something they're struggling with. But to do that, to help the fans and try to absorb the feedback to better steer what we do next, you have to wade through a lot of crap. And that part is not a lot of fun. It's
It's not meant to make you feel better. Don't worry.
Wait a second. Okay. To do that, to help the fans and try to absorb the feedback, to better steer what we do next, have you guys seen the gifs of the terrible animations that are happening in the freaking game? And you don't go, no. I need a better criticism. This criticism is not clear enough to me. I need someone to actually show it. No, they actually literally say that we want people to tell the criticism. We want people to tell us that the animation is horrible, not show it. Show it is a little bit triggering. Showing it is actually going to convince people that our game is crap. But no, we shouldn't show it. It hurts my feelings. It's a punch to the gut.
If we block people from criticizing our stuff on our website, then maybe we won't have to see it.
Yeah, then it doesn't exist. Nobody's criticizing our game. I mean, look at the comments section. They're not even there.
Yeah, it went on sale like a week after it came out, but whatever. It's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah, right. Jesus. Okay. Apparently, though, people, the hardcore fan base that hates this game also wanted to play Mass Effect on their high-end PCs.
Yeah, I guess. Now they hate it more than anybody.
Yeah. Okay. The criticisms for Mass Effect Andromeda centered around the fact that the game couldn't even measure up to the technical performance or standards set by the decade-old Mass Effect 1. These issues...
Wait. Are you saying that the criticisms for Mass Effect Andromeda is not console peasant enough? It needs more console peasant.
I'm just saying that, I mean, what I've played so far of it, the animations and the facial quality and all that, it does pull you out of the game. It does make it difficult for you to care about these characters. It really does.
It's not immersive at all. It's what happens, like, if you go into a dentist and the doctor tells you to open your mouth. Just imagine that, except the entire game.
It's like it's an uncanny valley sort of thing in a way. You could just tell that you could accept all of the Mass Effect 1, 2, 3 characters. They were animated fine and well enough, and it never pulled you out of it. But they just did a bad job in Andromeda. It wasn't just incompetence. It wasn't just an average job. They have regressed in quality. It's worse than 3, and it is bad. They did a bad job.
It makes your face tired, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay, so these issues combine with a lot of the typical SJW talking points embedded into the story, and poor dialogue left a lot to be desired, and plenty of people bummed about the newest entry in the Mass Effect franchise. So there were SJW talking points. I remember seeing something like, wasn't there like an alien that had a problem with other aliens, like he was kind of prejudiced and...
Well, that wasn't all of the games.
No,
there was racial tension but that was built into the story. This was like this sort of ham-fisted sort of no bigots allowed kind of dialogue line.
And by the way, Ashley from Mass Effect 1, she has insecurities of having aliens on the ship.
Yeah, and that relates to her personal history in her character.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that. But here it's just like, why would you say that? It's like, why would that ever leave your mouth? Why would you ever say that?
Mm-hmm. Like, no bigots allowed. I was like, what? The first Mass Effect wasn't like that. Like, the first Mass Effect, when Ashley was talking about how, like, the aliens are, like, bothering her, like, she has her own history. She has her own personal reasons of why she would have prejudice towards aliens, why she would have prejudice towards certain species. And in this one, I don't know, they just ham-fisted it there, just like this creature from Andromeda, I forgot name is.
Yeah, again, it all comes back to how the execution of ideas is just as important as the idea itself. You can have the best idea in the world. Doesn't matter if you execute it poorly in the game.
Right, no, it doesn't. And I guess there was also other things, like, I don't know if these are valid complaints that people had, but I guess there was something with the skin tone when you make a custom character. It doesn't get any lighter than, like,
It was pretty difficult to make a white character.
Brown paper bag. Tan person.
Actually, I can confirm that you can actually make a character in a lighter tone, except if you're a PC gamer, you're not gonna notice it because the ambient occlusion is so messed up.
Let me say this: the PC version, the custom characters that you can edit, they are the ugliest I have ever seen. They are
the presets. The presets are fucking ugly.
Oh
my god,
they're a joke. Like it came out of some indie game or some STOG asset ripped off of a Unity store page. No. The default ones look okay, but the presets, they look bad.
And by the way, the presets consist of people of color. The default was a white. The default was white. The presets are people of color. That's the most horrifying part.
The defaults
They
are
literally
white?
make. Yeah.
Autistic screeching.
Ree!
That's terrible. Okay, so the models are really ugly, and there are some SJW talking points, and the facial animations are bad. So, but you are still playing it, so I guess there are some
Well, I
ups
mean-
to it too.
Well, I mean, I'm not really actually.
Okay, I am still playing it though. I am still playing it, but I've played it for like 4 to 5 hours before I stopped, and I decided the writing is so screwed.
Yeah, the writing
performance
is bad. The writing
the
is
writing-
bad.
The writing is bad. Like on the first
The
6
lines.
hours. Yeah, just the first 6 hours. The banter that came in with the squad mates, it was cringe. It was like it came off of a freaking it came off of a Tumblr. It's a Tumblr banter. Like, how did these rocks float? Since when did rocks float? Like they're saying it like in the middle of a battle, a serious battle where people are fucking injured, almost dying, and like let's throw a little bit of quip here and there. Just deal with it.
And it sounds weird too, but in the middle of battle, and I've only played like the tutorial mission, but in the middle of battle, they'll treat it like a video game with the way that they talk and everything. Like it's not a serious deal, and life or death isn't at stake here, and we're fighting to survive. No, they treat it so casually and so flippantly that it helps to pull you out of the game. It's like the game looks pretty good. I mean, I've got a good PC running. I mean, it could use a lot of work with its optimization, but the game does look pretty good. And then you're in this world and you're walking around and you're kind of like, okay, I can actually kind of see myself in this world. And then someone around you opens their trap and you're like, well, so much for that.
Right. Well, I'm sorry, guys. Some of you who are big fans, you probably were looking forward to this too, right?
Well, I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. That's
Yeah.
why I'm so disappointed.
Absolutely, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Because Mass Effect 1 and 2 and 3, I've played them all multiple times. I played the first one like 5 times through. And this one is just nothing about it screams fitting sequel.
I'm also a big fan of Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect is literally is like my middle school year. It was the best of times. I played it through the first game, second game, third game. PC's crap, but I still play it anyway. It's just running very well. Have some fun. Then the fucking ending comes in, and I was like, okay, fuck you, BioWare. Just fuck you with a piece of. Oh god, I hated the ending so much. Like I'm not buying any BioWare products ever since then. And so I might try. Okay, I'll try. Okay, I'll give BioWare a chance. Dragon Age Inquisition, garbage. Not playing that shit.
Heard it was pretty rough.
No, not playing that shit. Next game, Mass Effect Andromeda. Played it 6 hours. Not impressed. Meh. BioWare.
I might come back and play a second hour of Andromeda later on. But since it is a video game and it doesn't expire, I will. I'm not in any hurry.
What you should do is you should Twitch stream it, and then that way, since you're not going to get super engrossed into it anyway, you may as well have fun.
I might do that. Yeah.
I would just stream it. If I had a better PC, I would stream a game like that. Maybe not that one.
Maybe not that one.
I care about myself, but
a game I like.
yeah, right. Or at least
a game
one
that's
that,
good.
Yeah, like I'll do Hatred.
Yeah, like I would rather shoot innocent people for no reason other than that. Than play.
Anyway,
Hatred. Yeah, Hatred wasn't great. I would recommend Postal though. Postal is a lot better on shooting innocent people. It's a lot more brutal.
Definitely, we definitely need to do that. Anyway, so BioWare has already released a patch for Mass Effect Andromeda, which addresses the dead fisheye effect and the body movements for some of the dialogue sequences for a few of the characters. However, they note that over the course of the next 2 months, they'll be fixing more faces and the poor lighting, graphics, and animations as well. There's no word on if they'll also fix the awkward dialogue. Maybe for the next BioWare outing, they'll actually make the game better than a decade-old title, and Fraser won't have to worry about feeling like he got punched in the gut.
Maybe.
That's cyber
If you
violence.
made a quality product to begin with, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's right. Also, there's no ETA on when they're going to add fair-skinned customization options that you can make light-skinned Asians and Caucasians. Or maybe like a ginger, like freckles and like pink skin, red hair.
And I'm just gonna tell you this, guys. If you guys really want to make like a fair skin, light skin people in Mass Effect Andromeda, turn all your settings to low, because the ambient occlusions actually messed up with the face. It messed up with the skin. It messed up with I think it was not only the ambient occlusion, the SSAO. It messed up with the skin. So if you're tuning it to high settings, that actually messed up with the skin of the game. But if you put it on low, the characters actually, they have this fairly light skin, although to be fair, that's because you turn off the ambient occlusion, and that just shows to you that BioWare is completely competent on programming almost anything now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the game's bad and they make fun of it, it's obviously because they're sexist, misogynist MRAs.
Horrible.
Yeah,
horrible.
Especially because
it's not because the game is shit. It's not because the game is shit. It's not because people have huge legitimate issues with problems in the video game. It must be some ulterior motive.
Speaking of video games and their influence on people, thank you, Paul. So you guys may have heard of the Cleveland manhunt that is underway after a video of murder was uploaded to Facebook.
Murder!
Yes, the Cleveland man is at large after reportedly killing someone and uploading the footage to Facebook. The video appears to show a man identified by police as 37-year-old Steve Stevens, that's his name, approaching a 74-year-old man before asking him to say a name and shooting him in the head. Sometime after the murder, Stevens also began broadcasting on Facebook Live. The video and broadcast were among multiple Facebook posts made by Stevens. So they're trying to find him. I think Keemstar is hunting him down right now or something. That's what I heard. And apparently CNN is on the ball with the reasons why he probably did it, and it's because first-person shooters create murderers. So
Fake news.
What have we learned today? We have learned that if you like to play games on a really high-end PC, you're probably an MRA, and you're definitely a bigot of some kind, and you support Gamergate. If you like to play Grand Theft Auto on your high-end PC, then you are okay with violence against women. In fact, you're very likely going to enact violence in the real world, especially on women. And this man, Stevie Stevens, that doesn't even sound real, is actually evidence of that, because I guess he played video games, and he probably played them on a high-end PC, and
they've done this before. Whenever someone does something really bad, if they find out that he played video games, then they'll try to shoehorn that in.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, he played Call of Duty. He's like, what does that have to do with anything?
Well, they did that with the Columbine massacre. They tried to attribute to video games because the guys like to play Doom or something like that. Yeah, they did do that. But I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think this guy got cucked or something, and he's got pissed about it. That's all I know. But
have you seen the stray of male feminists that got caught with rape accusations?
I know it happens because they hang out with feminists, and if you do, it's only a matter of time before they accuse you of rape.
Yeah, it's just proximity. It's just a statistical reality.
Yeah.
That's
Just hanging out with feminists will increase your chances of being accused of rape, dude.
It's a ticking time bomb, man.
Yep.
Yeah, he's cocked to that degree.
People said Hitler played video. Yes, he did.
Hitler played Call of Duty. He didn't like the ending.
All games do that. If they're competitive and they mean that there's going to be a winner and a loser, they all basically create violence in the real world. I believe Genghis Khan was really into Chinese checkers.
He really was, yeah.
He really was.
Yeah.
And you know that Hitler actually Hitler actually played Sniper Elite 4? He decided to snipe himself and shoot himself in the head.
If I was gonna kill, it's like it's funny he's playing that. It's like I would never really shoot myself.
well, he did. He did. That's he did.
like that quote that's going around. Hitler's killer is my hero. It's like, I know what you're trying to say, and I agree with the sentiment, but swing and a miss.
Yeah, just a bit.
Oh god.
All right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to real quickly remark on that. We'll do more research on the Cleveland shooter thing and talk about it a little bit more seriously tomorrow. But
Do more research.
let it be. Yeah, we try to do journalism here at Honey Badger Radio.
Find out what his KD was.
Oh God.
I'm gonna see how he's doing on the rankings. I bet he was a Hanzo main, that motherfucker. Anyway, moving on. All right, so there is a story about the Fearless Girl. So this is a complete change of pace, but this is the last one I thought was kind of interesting. So you might know about the Charging Bull sculpture in Wall Street. And it's basically just a golden sculpture of a bull. And somebody made some guerrilla art to stand, essentially that was working. It changes the context of it, and that's the Fearless Girl. So I'm reading this guy's blog about it, which I
She'd get
agree
fucking
with.
wrecked, by the way. Like she doesn't have a chance. I'm almost gonna destroy her.
No, absolutely. She's not fearless. She's just dumb. She doesn't realize what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's also she's a statue.
This is what happens when you are lied to about your ability to withstand, bulls that are charging at you. You can do anything, little girl. Anything. Nothing can stop you. Just gotta believe. Stand in front of that bull. So, okay, here's what this guy wrote. I got metaphorically spanked a couple days ago. Folks have been talking about the Fearless Girl statue ever since it dropped in Manhattan's financial district some 5 weeks ago. I have occasionally added a comment or two to some of the online discussions about the statue. Recently, most of the Fearless Girl discussions have focused on the complaints by Arturo Di Modisa, the sculptor who created the Charging Bull. He wants Fearless Girl removed, and that boy is taking a metric ton of shit for saying that. Here's what I said that got me spanked. This guy has a point. That's what he said. This happened in maybe 3 different discussions over the last week or so. In each case, I explained briefly why I believe Di Modica has a point, and I'll explain it again in a bit. And for the most part, folks either accepted my comments or ignored them, which is pretty common for online discussions. But in one discussion, my comment sparked this. Men who don't like women taking up space are exactly why we need the Fearless Girl. Which, and this doesn't need to be said, but I'm okay with saying the obvious, this is a perfectly valid response. It's also one I agree with. As far as that goes, it's one New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio agrees with, since he said it first. Although, to be fair, probably one of his public relations people said it first. Before him. But here's the thing.
One of their kids said it first.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a good idea, little Timmy.
It probably came from a woke 8-year-old, because I noticed that a lot of the best ideas tend to come out of woke 8-year-olds.
So fucking woke. Those 8-year-olds are so smart. If there's anyone I need to be listening to, it's an 8-year-old with a social agenda.
As long as they're woke.
What was that 8-year-old girl from Syria again?
Yep.
Yeah.
She was woke
totally.
as fuck.
Yeah, she's so woke. Oh boy. This is totally a real 8-year-old.
This is all really happening.
This is totally an 8-year-old girl typing these things out. Complex socio-political, opinions.
Yeah, the 8-year-olds. 8-year-olds.
I want Assad to die.
But here's the thing. You can completely agree with the woman who responded to my comment, and you can still acknowledge that Arturo Di Modica has a point. Those aren't mutually exclusive or contradictory. Let me apologize here because I have to do some history, and for reasons I've never understood, some folks actively dislike history. It's necessary, though, so here we go. Back in 1987, there was a global stock market crash. Stock markets everywhere tanked. Arturo Di Modica, a Sicilian immigrant who became a naturalized citizen of the U.S., legally responded by creating Charging Bull, a bronze sculpture of, well, a charging bull. It took him 2 years to make it. It weighs more than 7,000 pounds and cost Di Modica some US $350,000 of his own money. He said he wanted a bull to represent the strength and power of the American people. He had it tucked into the financial district and set it up, completely without permission. It's maybe the only significant work of guerrilla capitalist art in existence. People loved it. The assholes who ran New York Stock Exchange for some reason didn't. They called the police, and pretty soon the statue was removed and impounded. A fuss was raised, the city agreed to temporarily install it, and the public was pleased. It's been almost 30 years, and Charging Bull is still owned by Di Modica, still on temporary loan to the city, still one of the most recognizable symbols of New York. And that brings us...
And the thing is, the bull represents the resilience of the American market.
Yes. It's
I mean,
actually
there's no social anything that has any. It's about the strength of the market of the United States, about how we will persevere, about how the system is strong, and we will follow through with it, and we'll overcome economic obstacles. That's what it's about.
yeah, it's a pro-capitalist symbol,
Yeah.
which is a problem for feminists, though.
Well, yeah, it's a problem for feminists.
Yeah, they don't like
They
capitalism.
say, as they say, donate to my Patreon.
Yes.
Capitalism is evil. Donate to my Patreon.
Yeah, from my I say this from my MacBook Air or whatever.
Yeah.
And that brings us to March 7th of this year, the day before International Women's Day. Fearless Girl appeared standing in front of the charging bull. On the surface, it appears to be another work of guerrilla art, but it's not. Unlike DeMonico's work, Fearless Girl was commissioned. Commissioned not by an individual, but by an investment fund called State Street Global Advisors, which has assets in excess of of $2.4 trillion in U.S. currency. That's serious money. It was commissioned as part of an advertising campaign developed by McCann, a global advertising corporation, and it was commissioned to be presented on the first anniversary of State Street Global's Gender Diversity Index Fund, which has the following NASDAQ ticker symbol.
Where they have all the two genders.
Yes, all of the
All
two.
of the two.
The symbol is she. And finally, along with Fearless Girl, is a bronze plaque that reads, "Know the power of women in leadership. She makes a difference." Now, the word she...
That is not inclusive.
The word she is all in caps. Everything else is normal. And that's not because they're trying to draw emphasis to it. It's because it means something. It's an extremely clever advertising scheme. This is what makes it clever. Fearless Girl derives its power almost entirely from DeMonico's statue. The sculptor, Kristen Visbal, sort of acknowledges this. She said this about the statue. She's not angry at the bull. She's confident. She knows what she's capable of, and she's wanting the bull to take note.
The bull's gonna fuck her up.
Yeah. It's all about the bull. If it were placed anywhere else, Fearless Girl would be a very fine statue, but without facing Charging Bull, Fearless Girl is nothing. She has nothing to be fearless towards or about. Whatever, Fearless Girl, without DeMonico's bull, without the context provided by the bull, just becomes some confident girl. Fearless Girl also changes the meaning of Charging Bull. Instead of being a symbol of the strength and power of the American people, of capitalism, about the market and enduring and all that, as DeMonica
for those of you who don't know, you have bull markets and bear markets.
Yes.
So bull markets are good. That means the economy's good. Bear markets are bad. It means things are not going so great. You want the bull. The bull is a symbol of a good market.
That's right.
It has an actual economic meaning.
So does the bear market represent Russian bears, as in the Soviets?
Maybe that actually was the inspiration for why the bear is bad. I'm not certain, but that wouldn't surprise me if that had something to do with it.
Or maybe it's just double plus good.
Maybe it is.
I think so. All right, so
We have no choice.
Instead of being a symbol of the strength and power of the American people, as DeMonica intended, is now seen as an aggressive threat to women and girls, a symbol of patriarchal oppression.
They've changed something that's supposed to be very good and positive, and by putting something next to it like the Fearless Girl, they're changing it into a negative. And if I was the artist of the bull, I'd be pissed because it completely changes the meaning of the creation that I have.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's literally, if the bull is capitalism, it's the girl literally advocating for communism and socialism or something like that.
Feels before reels.
Feels before reels.
Absolutely. A global investment firm has used a global advertising firm to create a faux work of guerrilla art in order to subvert and change the meaning of the actual work of guerrilla art. That's what's happened. This would piss off any artist.
Yeah.
See,
I mean, it's like I mean, people don't you're just I would be so pissed if my iconic sculpture, because everyone knows this statue in the city, especially in America, pretty much everyone knows about this statue. It's been there since like the mid 80s, right? 86. So 86 or 7.
87 is when it was put.
87, and I mean, it's so iconic and it's recognized by everyone, and it has a very specific meaning. To change that meaning and to have yourself assigned to what was once a positive meaning as to be assigned a negative meaning and have your name attached to that would piss me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ask Shia LaBeouf. He knows how it feels.
Or Shia.
Oh, poor Shia.
Poor Shia.
He's not going to survive these 4 years, I swear to God.
Whatsoever a man reapeth.
Okay, so that would piss off any artist. See, it's not as simple as it seems on the surface, especially complicated for somebody like me, for example, who appreciates a notion of appropriation in art. I've engaged in a wee bit of appropriation myself. Appropriation art is, almost by definition, subversive, and subversion, also by definition, usually is the province of marginalized populations attempting to undermine the social order maintained by tradition and the establishments of power. In the case of Fearless Girl, however, the subversion is being done by global corporatists as part of a marketing campaign. That makes it hard to cheer on. There's some serious irony here. And yet, there she is, the Fearless Girl. You know, it's funny, this guy may not, this is a person who wrote this, he may not be aware, but a lot of these big giant movements that are supposed to be speaking for the voiceless, they're backed by
corporations.
They're backed by powerful people with lots of money.
Yeah, so, like, who do you think is very, very pro-illegal immigrants? Huge corporations.
Yeah.
All that, it's like, it ain't about people, it's about cheap, extremely cheap labor. It's about a workforce that can be exploited. It's nothing humanitarian about it.
Exactly. I love the Fearless Girl and I resent her. She's an example of how commercialization can take something important and meaningful, something about which everybody should agree, and shit all over it by turning it into a commodity. Fearless Girl is beautiful, but she is selling she, S-H-E, which is a symbol. It refers to the NASDAQ symbol. So it's not actually talking about the word she as in female.
You know, if you put the "Make America Great Again" hat right next to her, it's basically
someone did that. It was amazing.
Yeah, if you basically put a "Make America Great Again" hat on her, the bull is basically represents the raging fat feminist at Tumblr coming at her.
Well, no, the bull's got balls.
Oh,
that's how you know it's a bull.
It's a trans bull.
It's a trans. Oh yeah, the bull might identify as a cow.
Yeah, that's right. A heifer. So yeah, should Fearless Girl
having children is so not feminist.
So should Fearless Girl be removed as Demotica wants? I guess that's the question.
I think it should. I think it should be moved somewhere else because it does change the entire meaning of what the bull is.
Yeah. I mean, would you say it's like somebody putting a mustache on the Mona Lisa?
Well, no, I wouldn't say it because the Mona Lisa isn't supposed to have some sort of a... I don't think there's any meaning or symbolic meaning behind it.
A Da Vinci Code, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's none of that. This is a statue that has been up for a long time. It's a piece of history, and it is made. Is it the city that maintains it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
It's not. There's no social message to it. It's about the pride, and basically it's about American pride. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess you could consider that a social. I don't know. Anything's a social issue these days if it needs to be. But personally, well, it's not a huge issue if it stays up. I absolutely understand why the artist is pissed. He has every right to be pissed. I would be pissed if I was him. I mean, I would be super ticked off. Oh yeah,
absolutely. I'm with you. I think normally I'm all for like freedom of expression and everything, but I think that when you're changing somebody else's work,
yeah, you're going onto somebody else's stuff.
Yeah, that's not the same. I mean, I'm okay with this girl statue existing, even if I disagree with the message and I think it's stupid. But you should be allowed to be stupid. Just be stupid someplace else. Maybe
be stupid on your own space.
Right.
Don't mess around with other people's works of art.
And that's another thing too. Because despite the fact that it's like some corporate thing that was put together, the way people are responding to it and they're praising it says there's a couple things there that can also be sort of unpacked. One is the fact that this girl statue doesn't work without the bull, not the way that they want. That means it needs the bull in order to work, which, according to what the guy wrote, it changes the context of everything. So if you put the girl by herself someplace, then it's still a great sculpture, but now it doesn't have the context that it needs. That means it's still, essentially, it's like standing on the shoulders of giants. Like somebody else does something, and then you add on to it, I don't know, like they maybe make a character, like Iron Man, who's been around since the 60s, and then you say, I got a fresh new idea. I'm going to take this guy and make him into a black chick. And
Like when I
brand new
make a
idea
response
now.
video, the original response video hasn't been changed. You could still go and see it, and my commentary is completely separate from it. You can go to Paul's TED Talk and go to the page, and you don't have to listen to a word of what I say. But there's no way for you to separate the two of them now because they've been inextricably joined together. One being about the other.
Yeah.
You can't separate them now.
No. Now they're basically together because it's not like there's another bull somewhere else that looks just like that. That's the original bull. Like maybe if the people who made this also made another bull and then they put that someplace else, well then that's your business, right?
Yeah.
The original one is still here though. So, and the other thing is that now this is as a feminist symbol, which is a lot of what a lot of feminists are claiming, which I'm fine with because it is made by corporate shills and they have like trillions of dollars in worth, and yet they're claiming to cry the victim or whatever in this particular situation. It totally fits. They're basically standing in the way of progress. That's what this is. If the bull represents progress, then the feminists stand in the way. That's actually quite the analogy. That makes a lot of sense.
That's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah, and you know what? That's your prerogative, but I'm not going to disagree with that. They also are anti-capitalist, which is what the bull stands for as well. So, Appabed, I'm sorry. You were gonna say?
Yeah. No, nothing. Just keep on.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, like that. Those are basically my thoughts. Like, I don't, I find that if you really think about it, the girl statue makes a lot of sense, but I don't think it should be there. In my opinion, they should just build its own thing. But it's funny how feminists always expose themselves with their.
I think that's a very good metaphor of how feminists are co-opting original art, and try to make it their own version, so that it's basically a metaphor of how. Well, it's a metaphor of Marvel, basically.
Yeah.
Of how they take original character, they take the bull. The bull is basically the original characters. Then they put in something else that changes the context differently.
Yeah. We can't make our own. We have to co-op somebody else's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, making your own means you got to work at it, and it's hard. Working is hard, guys. It's hard.
It's hard. It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Like if it actually takes a lot of effort, we're gonna need to actually wake up from our seats and actually go outside. Going outside to the sunlight, that hurts us. Do you know that we are closet hikikomoris? I mean, fucking.
It's hard, guys. And that's it. That's why I chose this, because it's basically the same shit as what's going on with video games and comics. It's just another way in which people piggyback off of somebody else's success. They change it, and they change everything about it, and then people get upset. This is exactly what's happened in all the other stories that I'm talking about, or at least they draw attention away from things that really matter to people, like how female
Godzilla.
Like representation of female characters in fucking Godzilla films. I just want more fucking Godzilla in my Godzilla films. God damn it!
Only if it's a girl Godzilla.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else, so I guess unless you guys want to talk about anything, you can call the stream. Nobody. We still have our chat, and they've been pretty decent.
I think so.
They're very basic.
Our chat is great. Our chat is best chat, even though I see some unfamiliar faces in here. So
someone actually commented on the Marvel thing. This one person, Ardian Schaff, he's an extremist, and he was photographed after this controversy, meeting with the well-known extremists. Yes. This is not all Indonesians or even Indonesian artists. # not all. This guy literally is defending, dude, have you seen Indonesians went on to say that Ardian Shaft is like an extremist guy? The people who complained to Marvel were Indonesians. They're the ones who get the reference, because the clothes of that writes QS 551, that's very common here. That is one feedback.
Well, I mean, Islamic extremist comic book artists. That's not really a bad idea for Marvel. I mean, we need a little bit.
2017.
We need some.
Well, you can't draw Muhammad, so you're already getting yourself into a corner here.
Oh, Oh, by the way, X-Men also has that Muslim that they have a Muslim hero. I forgot her name. Soraya Kadir, aka Dust.
Dust.
She is a Muslim hero, and she literally wears the niqab
Yeah.
for her conquest. And the feminists are criticizing her. And do you know why? She wears a full
Too much
freaking niqab.
skin.
No.
No,
I know this one. I know this one. It's because
Yeah.
despite the fact that she's got like the full burqa top to bottom covered up, you know, sand ninja, whatever. The way that it hugs her form shows too much of her curves. Isn't that what it is?
So it's like she's wearing latex.
Yeah. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on.
Her form body, her sexiness is still exposed. And by the way, didn't you guys know that when she turns into a sand, she is fully naked?
Oh no.
Oh no. That's terrible, isn't
Why is she
it?
getting some sand in her head?
It's, you know what, I hate sand. It gets everywhere. It's coarse and it's rough.
I'm also not too much of a fan of the sand. I'm not much of a sand fan.
You know that the god tier of fapping is using sandpaper. You don't use lotion? You don't use lotion? No, lotion is low tier. God, sandpaper is where it's at.
It's God tier. Sandpaper Master Race? I don't know. Yeah, I remember that, what they said about Dust. I remember that. That was fucking lame. Well,
Yeah.
fucking comics. I don't know. We need new ideas. I have some. Everything
I
else
heard
is
sirens. Where that came
burned.
from?
Oh, that's
Someone got swatted.
no. I'm in Chicago. This is just normal.
Oh my god.
This is just Chicago. It's cool.
Oh.
Don't worry. Yeah, you'll hear sirens. It's what happened. I live in the hood in Chicago, but
Yeah.
I'll be fine. I've
Yeah.
been here 40 years. Nothing's happened yet.
Oh, thank God.
Anyway, though, I'm gonna go ahead and take us out. But Rags, Appaben, thanks so much for coming on. Do you guys?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Do you guys want to maybe do like some kind of semi-regular thing? I usually do stuff on.
Yeah, I'll do a semi with you.
Okay.
I'll do a regular thing.
Okay. What I'll try to do is maybe if some like cultural stuff happens, anything.
So literally everything.
Yeah, right. Whenever there's always shit to talk about, but maybe if there's like some story, or if you want to, I have like some academic things that have been done. I think there was a study that I have saved that was talking about MMO addiction and like how. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can look at that. I don't know. I can go over it. But yeah, if you guys want to come back for stuff like this, or maybe something a little bit like looser, whatever.
And you're gonna need a pop culture expert in Honey Badger.
Yeah. Well, I like talking about this stuff myself, so I'm a big movie person.
It's good to spread these kinds of ideas. I mean, that's really what's important. I mean, if anyone, I assume that. I mean, they always say sunlight's the best disinfectant, and letting these things simmer and sit, and not saying anything. I mean, that's bad. You should be direct with stuff like this. You should tackle it head on.
Yeah, absolutely, and we do. We have multiple shows where we talk about this shit all the time, but I think I can do more. So yeah, I'd like to have you guys back.
Oh, by the way, I've had a couple of people like criticizing. Like I've actually notified people that I was on Honey Badger, and there were some. Yeah, and one of the comments said that apparently the Honey Badger refused to criticize its own. And I was like, okay, who are they not criticizing? And they were like, they haven't criticized Return of Kings.
What? No. What? Oh, Jesus Christ! All right. We don't.
Yeah, the same.
Do you want to know?
The same. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. Okay. You want to know what the difference between Honey Badger Radio and Return of Kings is? Most things. So
most things.
Here's the
most
thing.
of the things.
Yeah. This is what you're going to run into once you start talking to us, MRAs with our really powerful machines and our 512 frame rates and shit. You're going to run into people that are going to conflate MRAs with PUAs and MGTOW. And these are three different things that have some overlap. So your Return of Kings is basically like a pickup artist, sort of. I would even borderline on Meninist kind of shit over there.
No. They are just full on parody. Like the one thing that I stumbled upon on them is how anime girls are like making men submissive and weak. The most hilarious article.
You're talking about Return of Kings, right?
That's an article from Return of Kings.
Yeah, no, but those guys are they're a bit serious though. Like, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but
I know.
I remember when I think it was like episode 7 of Star Wars was coming out, and they were talking about how it was. I think that they were talking about how anti-white male it was, or something like that, and I think they might have been the ones that I think it was one of the writers that tried to like start a hashtag about it, and also they talked about the last Mad Max movie that came out as like this, feminist propaganda film. And
speaking of Star Wars, I have sent you guys an article. Let's go ahead and read that. That is some high quality, god tier. Why?
The new Star Wars game stars a woman and whiny piss boys got triggered. I had no idea. In addition to our first look at The Last Jedi, this year's annual Star Wars celebration also brought us a new trailer for Battlefront 2. Not the old good one, the shitty one.
Not to confuse the old one.
The old good one. The multiplayer-focused shooter was recently rebooted a couple years back for some reason. And while it had a solid foundation, it was somewhat lacking in features. So a lot of fans were pretty pumped to sneak a peek at a full-fledged story mode told from the Empire's point of view post-Return of the Jedi. Response has been pretty good, especially as far as EA games go. There is one exception. The fact that the campaign stars a female protagonist, or is that antagonist? Either way, this inevitably set off some of the internet's saltiest fuckboys. Like this one comment we found with 2 upvotes on YouTube.
Read the comment.
Wait,
Stop
More
fucking
female protagonist horseshit. Fuck you, Kathleen Kennedy. Who's that?
Kathleen Kennedy is the president for LucasArts.
Oh, okay.
Stop
The one who said
pushing female protagonists, not buying this gabsje.
Now, to be clear, the vast majority of commenters have no issue with the new character, presumably because there is no issue to be had. Gosh, it's like we're getting to self-awareness here. But in almost every part of the internet, there are a few whiners that absolutely cannot handle it. Then why are you making an article on it, Tristan? Is this a parody? Are you a Poe? Is this a parody? Oh, that's Star Wars joke. But are you is this can't? You see, it's when people say things like this, you expect them to have some introspection on what they have just typed out, but they don't. And normally I try to do that when I say something in a video and I hear it back. I hear myself saying something. Normally I have some self-awareness of what I have just said and how that might relate to me. But some people, I guess, when they type it out, they don't. I don't know. Let's see. A lot of them justify their hatred by accusing Disney of shoving their feminist agenda down their throats. Comments read, because I guess everything has to have a female protagonist now to please the PC feminazi crowd. Let me see.
And then someone calls him a cuck, which seems like a weirdly placed insult because that's kind of backwards, dude.
No,
it would almost be kind of funny watching them squirm to figure out a legitimate reason to have a problem with a trailer if it weren't extremely depressing. These are the things that depress you, I guess. A lot of the arguments boil down to, I don't have a problem with female protagonists. You misspelled protagonists. Tristan, you misspelled protagonists. Do not spell check. Anyway, except the part where I actually do have a problem with that. Well, Tristan, the counter is I don't have a problem with the tiny minority of people who have a problem, except for the fact I'm writing an article about it.
Protagonists.
Perfect.
I don't.
Protagonists. Protagonists. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like I don't have a problem with female protagonists, but it just ruins the immersion for me when I play as the opposite sex. As with a lot of games doing it now, it just gets annoying. That's fair enough, I think. I mean, I think it's a pretty legitimate personal criticism someone might have.
Yeah.
Some people just can't connect as much to a character on screen that's a female.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with female protagonists, but it just ruins the immersion for me when I play as the opposite sex. Yeah, there are some people who have that opinion, There are some people who don't want to. They want to play as themselves. There are some people who want to play as other, like me.
Right. So if you just play like a droid or a blob or a piece of meat,
Yeah, yeah.
are
Play as a
you-
female.
Does it also
God
pull
forbid.
you out of your experience if you don't get to do that?
God forbid.
I mean, there are games where
Oh, no.
I remember back in the day in the Atari 2600, you play a game as a box with an arrow sticking out of it, and you know what? I pine for those days. No one complained that the gender wasn't being represented when they were literally a stick that bounced the ball back and forth. Bring back Pong. So everybody would shut the fuck up.
Well, one of the comments said, "Great, even in the games we don't get a male lead. What? What? In what universe are you in, mate? have you played any Star Wars games? Like most of them, like the freaking. This is why you should go to the last Star Wars Battlefront. They're much better than the recent ones.
Yeah. This is just a cheesy article. Then there are those that admit that the amount of females in Star Wars related material is making them just plain uncomfortable.
One of the messages say, "You sound like a Gamergate asshole."
Yeah,
Oh yeah, where's that?
it's in one.
Oh.
It's in the text
I see it.
thing.
It's
The
a text
exchange. Text
conversation
exchange.
that someone. How do you get your hands on this shit? Is this from?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I had to complain, but is LucasArts literally all girls? Episode 8 is lead is Ray girl, Rogue One is lead Jin girl, Battlefront 2 sorry mode, TIE Fighter pilot girl, sorry mode. Sorry.
It is strange that there is all of a sudden a huge shift. You would think that it's like they're trying to counterbalance things in the past instead of having these characters just be female when they should be female.
No,
Because
it's-
all of a sudden, we had mostly male protagonists in the past. Yeah, that was fine back then too. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with having female ones as well. But when you try to counterbalance the past in history by trying to overweight it on a different side, it's like saying, well, it's okay to be racist against this group now because that group was racist in the past.
I find this all suspect personally. I'm sorry, but I do. I think that it wouldn't look. It would be if I wanted to. I'm not saying that there aren't people that would genuinely make these complaints, but if I really wanted to make it look like there are a lot more people doing it than there are, even though there aren't many likes or replies or whatever to the posts that are up here, I could just be like, "Hey, dude, come with me on Facebook and let's have a mock argument about." Star Wars, and then I'll just block out our names and pictures and put it up and be like, look at all this hate that's coming out. And I know it seems like it's a bit contrived, but some of this shit is like this text back and forth thing. Seriously, like these people had to be friends. It wasn't like a random guy, texted another person.
Yeah, it was like we have all
with-
these game journo groups, out there colluding with one another and doing things like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, this is really suspect. And then so you take a screenshot where the conversation ends with, you sound like a Gamergate asshole, and the other guy's like, Luke is the chosen one! And then one of these people, probably the person that's like typing, you sound like a Gamergate asshole, screenshots it, and then sends it to this person to put in
it's
their
like, hey,
article.
I know this guy who might want to write an article about this.
Yeah. How was you friends with him to begin with, if you were such, if you were so insufferable? Like, what the fuck?
Like, has anybody on Gamergate actually say that the female stars in Star Wars are actually like a PC, like a secret PC propaganda? It's feminist infiltration.
Is that a real question? I've been following Gamergate since it started, and of course you're going to have individuals that will probably say some shit like that. But Gamergate
it's just
on the
law
whole,
of averages.
yeah. But Gamergate on the whole, no, they didn't give a fuck about that. They were just they're not most, but there were a lot of Gamergaters that were women, that were
The symbol of Gamergate's a woman.
yeah, and they were basically saying, look, we don't care about identity politics in video games. We don't care
We
about
care about
that.
you being corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
You're sleeping with people and you're making reviews about their shit. It's like, that's total corruption.
Exactly.
Okay. Here's the last part of the article that I find a little ironic. Imagine being so fragile that you can't play a game about space wizards because the character you never see during gameplay is the opposite gender.
That is ironic.
well,
Isn't that the very thing that you're crying about right now in this article?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just like what Paul said. It's like it should matter, but here's why it matters. Like it should. Gender doesn't matter, but if they were females, the game would be better.
Yeah, let's laugh at trolls, but let's also get scared of trolls. Like that literal TED talk is having. Yeah, these people are like they're just people in their parents' basement. Let's all ignore them. Oh my God, horrible misogyny towards women. This harassment that these women get from these horrible trolls from the city in their parents' basement.
Yeah, it's not like someone's knocking on your door and you know there's a physical entity outside your domicile and you might have to confront them. It's like, this is the internet. You could literally just walk away.
Yeah, just close your eyes.
You could just close the tab. You don't even have to leave the internet. You can just close the tabs and go somewhere else.
Haha.
Well, what did the Tyler creator say?
How is cyberbullying real, nigga? Just close your eyes, walk away. But yeah, no, this is just it's retarded. What you guys were just saying is the same thing that anti-Gamergaters have said about Gamergate. They were, and MRAs too, where they were on the one hand completely powerless and a joke and not worth giving any attention to, and basically like just ridiculously stupid, but at the same time they were powerful and ever present, and they got Trump elected, and they made I mean seriously, there are people basically saying Gamergate is the reason why we have Trump as president. He's the reason they're the reason that Syria was bombed. There's the reason that we may be on the verge of taking away women's rights and killing all the gays, and the reason why we're not letting the Muslims in, which I don't know how you like, you know, how you somehow like justify or like, you know, make it make sense that
not liking an ideology is racist.
Well, somehow you come to the conclusion that not allowing a bunch of Islamists into your country will also result in the killing of the killing of gays and the subjugation of women. How do you do that?
Gamergate has also turned traps to be not gay.
So yeah, on the one hand, they're completely worthless and a joke. On the other hand, they're all powerful and they have reach that is far beyond your understanding. As the hacker known as 4chan.
Guys, here's maximum irony, as if that last sentence isn't ironic enough. Yes, people like to see themselves in the media they consume. That's reasonable. But if your likeness is not front and center, it should by no means a deal breaker.
Deal breaker, yeah. The magnitude of which causes you to face plant in the aisles of the internet and throw a tantrum. Yeah, that's just totally what happened.
Guys, aren't you the same people? Aren't you the same people that complain that video games are like full of straight white men? Yeah. Follow your own advice. People like to see themselves in media they consume. That's reasonable. If your likeness is not front and center, it should by no means a deal breaker. If you're playing a straight white man, it should by no means a deal breaker.
Rags, you gonna say?
There aren't enough gay. There aren't enough bisexual atheist canines protagonists in video games, so I'm just gonna stop playing them.
Yeah.
The best one that we got was that dog from Fallout New Vegas.
The robot dog. Yeah, Rex.
Rex.
Mm-hmm.
And Metal Gear, it doesn't matter. Diamond Dog is still best dog.
Diamond Dog is still best dog.
Here's the thing: if you want me to play with a dog in a video games, make the dog useful. Diamond Dog never gets in my way. Diamond Dog never annoys me. Diamond Dog never wastes my time chasing treasure only to find out it's a broom handle. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Diamond Dog thanks every enemy on Earth.
Yeah, Diamond Dog knows where everyone is. He will find you, and he will fucking slit your throat because he's a dog. I like Naked Dog better. Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, you've got what was it? Dog Meat, most annoying character in the universe. It's like the character was purposefully designed to get in your way. I was constantly tripping over this dog because the dog I would be looking at something on a shelf, and the dog would somehow be like, I should stand between you and this thing all the time. Like, hey, master, I found something. And then it was like a freaking like a gardening hoe or something. Like, gee, thanks. That's really useful. Thank you so much. Useful. I'm glad. Thank you.
Yeah. And Diamond Dog is best dog. It's best dog. As far as the magnitude of people that are face planting in the aisles of the internet and throwing a tantrum, I know that whenever I look around online to find out who's throwing a fit for whatever reason, it's always Gamergaters and MRAs and totally not progressives and social justice warriors that are doing that.
Totally not the total
throwing trash cans and screaming at the top of their lungs and shit. those people are totally not happening on the internet, and it's always right-wing
I feel-
conservatives.
All these Antifa members, like, ransacking places. I feel so bad for the trash cans. You know, the fight between them and the alt-right at Berkeley, and the people who were Donald Trump supporters at Berkeley. I was like, I'm only rooting for the trash can. The trash cans are the most oppressed people right there. They are the ones I'm
cans.
genuinely rooting for.
A lot of them are black too.
Trash cans matter.
Black cans matter. Okay,
Black
so
cans matter.
now for sure I'm gonna drop out because I gotta go shopping.
All right.
So, but thank you again, Appaben and Rags, for coming on the show with me.
You're welcome.
Let's do it again. It was fun, and those
Yes.
of you guys who came to watch, that I'm talking to the fans as well as the CIA. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys the next time I do one of these, which I don't know when that'll be. Maybe next Monday. I don't know. So